No, you're good.
Let's unmute that. Give me 1 second. So
No,
that's
you're good.
working. Okay, I think we're good. Can everyone hear us? Let me know if chat can hear
Testing.
us.
Check 1, 2.
Good for me. All right, fantastic. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smart Series 1K number 3. I am here with Xander Bennett. I'm excited to hop into this tournament. How are you doing today, Xander? Let's know.
I'm doing great. This is so much better than work. Been very much looking forward to this today. Crazy how many people are signed up for this tournament, and you are in for a very long night. I have much to compliment you on. You have so many players signed up, so this is going to be a huge event.
Yes, this is going to be a crazy event. Super excited. We got plenty of people who are in the stream tables as well, who are getting ready for the tournament. We'll be starting in about 3 minutes. That's when registration closes and the tournament starts. Over 1,700 players have registered. However, I don't know exactly how many have submitted their list. I'm thinking we're going to get about 1,400, maybe 1,500 at best. So that will break the all-time record. We're hoping for it, but we have to wait and see. We got 3 more minutes until that happens. So
already going up by a lot. I just refreshed
yeah.
the tab, and it's like, I mean, I know it makes sense where people are like making their last-minute decision, but I think you're going to smash the record. I think you're in.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited to see. It's going to be a really cool tournament because we do have Black Bolt and White Flare that are legal. This is going to be the first, I think, like major sized event with that. And like one of the things is that these events have gotten so big. I think this event is going to have some type of effect heading into the upcoming World Championship, because people are going to look at this event and say, wow, 1,500 people played, and like these decks did like super well, and like these decks, might have struggled. And heading into the biggest event of the year, this is going to be great testing for plenty of people who are preparing for the upcoming World Championships in Anaheim.
Yeah, and even just to see what people are running in the wild. This is going to be the same format as Pittsburgh next season. There's no set in between. So even if you're not competing at the Worlds level, this is still good preparation for anybody who's going to be going on to events next season. So I think that no matter what your skill level is, whether you're getting into the game completely, whether you're competing in Worlds in a month, I think that this is going to be a huge tournament to keep your eyes on.
Yes. Yeah, there's so many people playing. It's, always exciting to see the metagame shift and potentially see some surprise decks. One of the things at the very beginning of formats is there's a group of decks that like you expect to do well that usually do well. However, there are usually a couple of decks that are kind of overrated and underrated. Would you say there's any type of deck that people aren't really putting, I would say, the right attention to right now that actually has a lot of potential moving into the upcoming World Championships? I know there's a lot of rogue decks that have been kind of getting some talk recently. So I'd love to know your thoughts on, any spicy decks that you think, could surprise people at this tournament.
Not necessarily spicy, but I think that we're not done seeing Charizard EX overall. I've been looking at the metagame overall. If you can get past like the Jellicents with maybe like a Flutter main or something, or you play a build much heavier on TM Evo, kind of like Gabriel did at NAIC, I think that Charizard's still in a pretty good spot. Like its matchup table looks really solid. You'd love to go up against Zekroms in Miraidon. You're just never going to let them get to the 5 prize turn to one-shot you. You happily knock out stuff in the Gardevoir deck. Your biggest opponent is Mindbend. So if this was my commentator prediction, I'd put some money on Charizard.
Yeah, I think that Charizard is putting itself actually in a pretty good position as well, since you have access to that Chi-Yu. And there's a deck that has seen a major resurgence recently, and that is going to be the Golden Go. So I think that Charizard is really putting itself in a prime position to see success, simply because when you have the Chi-Yu, you can knock out one of those Golden Goes, and it makes it very, very difficult for them to win, simply because they kind of have to deal with that one prize attacker. And if they do deal with the one prize attacker, it puts them on an odd prize trade, which isn't necessarily very good for the deck. So that's
pretty
one
happy
thing as
if
well.
The Chi-Yu really puts them in a catch-22. You're pretty happy if they knock out the Chi-Yu, and you're pretty happy if they try to take a 2-prize knockout, because that means your Chi-Yu is still sitting around.
All right, awesome. So it looks like we will be starting the event right now. Owen, our judge. Shout out to Owen Dalgard for running these events with me, making my life easy so I can yap about Pokemon with you guys. He's the person that is behind the scenes, that is, handling all the judge calls and stuff. So if you see my name, that is not me most likely. That is Owen on my account handling things. But we are about to start round 1. We are going to be watching a pretty well-known master, Benny Billinger. He will be streaming round 1 for us. Saw quite a bit of success, is most recently coming off a top 32 at the North American International Championships. I think finished with around 1,000 points this year as well. So had a very, very solid year, and I'm excited to hop into their match. It looks like the tournament gets they're officially starting here. Yep, everything's just loading. But yeah, excited to hop into this. We have 8 rounds for phase 1. This is going to be ran almost exactly like a regional style tournament where we have 8 rounds, and then phase 2 as well. You have to have at least 6 wins and 2 losses to do that. People are saying Limitless crashed. Uh-oh.
Be pretty insane if we crash Limitless.
Did we crash Limitless? No way. Let's take a look here.
It is taking a while to load, but I don't know if that could very well just be my end. So I don't want to curse fate.
Yeah, let's see.
Let me try from mobile.
Let me message Robin.
Hey, I know it's like midnight for you, bro. We gotta run this tournament.
Yeah, I messaged Robin.
That would be nuts.
Did we just break Limitless? Oh my gosh. I think, like, I don't know if they're that used to this many people loading in at once. How many people did we end up? I literally can't. Is it working? Loading.
Pairings are up. Or at least there was a pairings tab where there was not a pairings tab.
Robin is okay. Robin is awake.
That's so good. Shout out to Robin. Anyone that has played Pokemon since 2018, like Limitless is the most valuable resource that has came to the game in the history of the game. There is very clearly being good in the pre-Limitless era versus being a talented player after Limitless are just like 2 completely different things. They do so much for the community. So special shout out to them while we've got this gap.
Yes. Shout out to Robin for, giving us this free platform here. He is working on it, and it's a shock that he's awake right now. Very impressive.
Honestly, it's
to
crazy
see Robin
he's
awake at 12. So yeah, we'll give it a couple minutes. We are going to extend as well the check-in time too. Just a couple of minutes.
So I was able to refresh it on my computer. It does say that late registration is open. Then it just went to 502 bad gateway. So maybe I think if people join, they might have a round 1 loss at this point from what I'm able to see, but I don't want to just keep trying to refresh it yet. I'll wait a minute.
Yep.
So you asked me what I'm excited to see. What are you excited to see? While we try to figure out a little bit on this end.
Yeah, like one of the decks I'm kind of excited to see is going to be Miraidon. I wonder if someone's going to find a way for it to come back. Because you do gain cards, like the Electric, also Zekrom as well. So you have a couple cards that kind of bring it back to relevancy. However, it still doesn't have a lot of really important consistency cards like the Forest Seal Stone, Rotom, and also cards like Luminion as well. So I'm really curious to see actually if that deck is going to be able to survive, or if the deck just doesn't necessarily have enough firepower anymore. I know it's a deck that some people have been playing in online tournaments. I've seen a couple do relatively well, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. So
yeah, I'm still a little nervous about Miraidon's Golden Go matchup because Golden Go seems to be pretty solid into this format, and it's definitely better for Miraidon now that Golden Go has to put the Genesect down, like with the way that they're building the deck. But 260 hit points is a lot of hit points, and unless that Zekrom is active, that is not getting knocked out.
Yes. Exactly. So yeah, just kind of waiting on Robin here. A lot of people are tagging me saying we broke Limitless. I guess that's an accomplishment, right? I mean, we had so many players, the website wasn't able to handle all of that at once. So should be a couple minute delay here. Currently only at a 5-minute delay. So hopefully in the next 5 minutes, everything will be fixed. For anyone that is just hopping in here, yes, we are aware that Limitless crashed. Robin Scholes is working on it. He, higher website. So he's just, going in there and trying to fix anything. So should be starting relatively shortly. As long as Robin is awake, the event will, start and be just fine. Just waiting on him to make sure it is ready to go. But yeah, wait a couple minutes here, see exactly, just kind of read in chat, see what people are saying here. Let's see. Oh, I'm hearing it's back.
We're back?
Wait, let's see.
Okay. I was able to get back onto Limitless, and if you go to ongoing. Okay, round 1 is paired. Do you want to guess the final total for what it says?
How many?
1478.
Yes, we beat Limitless.
Congratulations.
Yes, we beat Limitless. All right, so everyone also will get a time extension for this. Owen is going to work on that, make sure everyone has that extension. So yeah, let's see.
Do you know what Benny's username is? Is it just his name?
It's ZATCH. He's in stream 12.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I meant also the Limitless name so that I can pull up lists.
Oh, I have no idea. That is a fantastic question. Let's see. Yeah, everything's back up. 1,478 players, making sure that... It's
actually still going up because people are joining late. That's insane.
Yeah, I need to start resetting matches to make sure that...
Okay. You do some stuff on your end. I will entertain chat until you go forth. So here is your metagame breakdown. We don't have a fancy graphic, but according to what is live on the Limitless page, 13% on Golden Go. This is unsurprising. Brent showed it off very well on the Azul Invitational. Also, just seems to be very popular right now with the additional consistency from Genesect EX. Secondly, Raging Bolt is at 9% of the metagame with 134 players playing it. Grimmsnarl is third, barely under at 8%. Dragapult Charizard is number 4 at 6%. Gardevoir with Jellicent. Actually, these next 3 are really close. They're all at 5.5 to 5%. Gardevoir with Jellicent, Gardevoir without Jellicent, and Charizard, Pidgeot all round out your top 6 decks. So definitely we'll keep an eye out. There are 48 people on Crustle. Crustle is 3% of the metagame, which is insane. Typhlosion is also up there in the almost in the top 10 decks. So very cool stuff happening at this tournament. Excited to see what players are bringing.
Yeah, no, excited to do that. And yeah, we're going to hop into right here the very first round of the Smart Series.
If I click channel 12, is it gonna...
You can just hop right over there.
Is it still gonna come... Okay, yeah. Is it still gonna go through the stream? Or is it just watch only?
I believe, yes. So you just have to hop over there, and then I'll hop over, and then you'll be able to hear me, and then it'll be pretty much the same as this, except Benny will be muted and deafened. So yeah, you can just hop over there whenever ready. Alrighty, excited to hop into it here. One thing I want to say, once again, if your timer did expire and you weren't able to check in, please just call a judge. They will fix that for you. So that is one important thing. But
these players have started, but it does not look like a lot has happened so far. We've got Grimmsnarl versus, or maybe it's just Badoo Frostlass. It looks like some kind of Frostlass pile. Okay, given that I see a fighting energy, I'm going to say that it is not Grimmsnarl. But we got a Monkey Dory Frostlass deck versus Dragapult Dusknoir.
Yeah, definitely surprising to see this Frostlass Monkey Dory deck, kind of come back. It's a deck that has seen a little bit of success in online tournaments. I personally think that, Grimmsnarl does have, I feel like some consistency problems at times. So, maybe that's why people are, it seems like kind of opting more to, like, I would say just for like this, I guess, kind of consistent build. I know it has a pretty tough Gardevoir matchup from my testing, but maybe they found something to make that matchup better. That's, one matchup I
I
was
did
aware.
at least see a fighting energy, which would lead me to believe that there is a Ethan Sudowoodo somewhere in this deck
Ooh, what
to
does that
be
card do
able
again? I
to.
remember it does
Uh,
something really good.
so it's got
It
it's
locks
got
something, right?
corner.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got corner for 20 for a fighting, and instead of the ability that Maractus has, you have a second attack that for 2 energy you flip a coin, and if heads, you copy one of the attacks on their active. So just a little bit more versatility. You could trade off that ability on Maractus for the ability to potentially nuke something in their active if they've got a big guy up there. Um, his opponent, though, getting down this Monkey Dory pretty early is going to be an important tool to be able to combat. No attachment, though, anywhere is pretty rough.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like here we don't see the energy. I think that's one of the big problems that Dragapult I feel like kind of runs into sometimes is like when you find those energies at the very beginning of the game, it feels fantastic. However, there just are some games where you're not able to really set up a board state, and it's looking like here Benny has pretty much everything that he needs. We see the double Monkey Dory here, we see the Bravery Charm on the Badoo, and double Frostlass too. So I know this matchup in the past has felt relatively close overall, but it really seems like Benny has put himself in a very solid position right now at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I have found the lists online for both players, so I'm just pulling those up on our end. There is an Ethan Sudowoodo, so we got that right. And yeah, this is just straight Monkey Dory Frostlass, 4 Monkey Dory, 3 Frostlass, 3 Badoo, Blood Moon Ursaluna to top it off. 2 Hilda is an interesting thing to see in Benny's deck, so we'll see how those change the consistency of the deck. I know that part of the problem that these decks have had over time is finding your stage 1s is pretty tough. Finding your Badoos and your basics is easy through Artisan and Buddy Poffin, but Hilda could be a neat addition, and Hilda finds Luminous.
Yeah.
So that is more outs to Ethan Sudowoodo lock, or more outs just to Monkey Dory attaches.
Exactly. And we see here the recon directive, and it's just kind of coming down to, can the Dragapult player actually find energy? And we haven't seen an energy just yet. But then again, you then get kind of put in an awkward situation of, do you attach it to the Monkey Dory so that you can fling some of the damage back over? Because damage is starting to pile up very, very quickly. And that's Dracoloak is in danger of getting knocked out on this next turn. So this seems like a really awkward position here for Dragapults. And yeah, I think that the Hilda adds a lot of consistency for decks like this. I think that Dragapult in general just gains a big boost, but I'm surprised to see it in the Frostlass Monkey Dory, but it actually makes a lot of sense, which is cool. So I think that the Luminous Energy decks, I know that Prism Energy is banned right now, but I think these type of decks that in plenty of situations kind of struggled with consistency, gaining access to the Hilda really help it out.
Yeah, and I've been playtesting on my own a lot of Dragapult with Hilda. Currently, his opponent, Bruno, is not running any Hildas. He's only running 7 energies, which is a little bit on the low side, I would say, even with a heavy Night Stretcher count. You can't detach Night Stretcher as an energy, especially under Badoo, so a little bit of a hard time. The good thing is that, at least for Bruno, he does have Neo Upper in his deck as
huge.
his ace spec, so even without these early attaches, he should still be able to attack with a Dragapult in 1 turn. There's the Hilda coming down from Benny. Wondering if we're going to see a 3rd Frostlass set up. Nope, just goes for the Monkey.
Yeah, we just see the Monkey Dory here. We see the Adrenabrain, and I think this is going to spell the end for that Dracoloak potentially, and also you can set up the Monkey Dory as well to get knocked out over the next turn or so. And the problem
you
is
could actually do both, because you have double Frostlass down.
Yes, there's 3. Yeah, because you can set them all up. I forgot there was a 3rd Monkey Dory on the board. Yeah, this is just gonna wipe everything here. Really of relevance. I mean, yeah, down goes Monkey Dory, down goes the Dracoloak. You can't use the Night Stretcher to get back the Monkey Dory as well, so damage is just going to continue to pile up in this situation. This is an absolutely dominating start from Benny here. I'm not really sure how Bruno's going to be able to come back from this, because it seems like Benny has the perfect board against this Bolt archetype. So yeah.
Yeah, Bruno does have a rare candy in his deck, but it's not going to matter under the Badoo Itchy Palm Lock. And there we see. All right.
There we see a very quick concession. Benny Billinger playing a deck that hasn't necessarily seen a whole lot of success in quite some time. I feel like, once the Grimmsnarl archetype came out, people were just kind of like, why would we play this build? But I think, being a little bit more consistent, being a little bit more low maintenance as well, I think that's, one of the big things that this deck has going for it, has, set itself up to be actually a pretty good deck in this format. So yeah, that was a pretty quick game here. We do have a few other games. You got any recommendations? Anything look interesting by hovering over the stream channels here? I'm taking a look, see if there's...
So if I just hover over it, it'll show me. Oh, okay, I hover over the player. Channel 19 has a Rockets deck.
Ooh,
Rockets versus Golden Go.
Channel 19 has a Rockets versus Golden Go. Yes, that does seem pretty cool. Let's go hop over to that one then. Let's do it.
All right. All right.
So let's go into this one. All right. So we have Rockets Mewtwo here, which is, kind of another deck that I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot about. Playing up against the big bad Golden Go with access to the air balloon and also Genesect, just really helping with that consistency just so much. Have you gotten a chance to play this new variant of the Dango yet?
No, but it has definitely been public enemy #1 in my testing. I'm not necessarily excited to join the Golden Go army. People have notoriously hated the mirror over time, and for good reason. So I am much more excited to see what we can do to best beat it in my testing. But it is top dog right now for a reason, and actually this boss's orders might just spell the end of this game if there's 6 energies in hand.
So that's 6 energy here. We're going to see the Gust, or yeah, just the KO there.
There you go.
On the Mewtwo. And yeah, this seems like kind of a difficult matchup for Mewtwo. Just because the only way really of dealing with them is just, one-shotting with the Mewtwo. But that kind of takes a lot of resources in my opinion. And yeah, it looks like we see Mewtwo fall, which is unfortunate. I'm a fan of Mewtwo. I think that the Team Rockets archetype is so close to being good. I think that's, one thing is that it's really, really close to being good. However, it's just missing a couple cards, unfortunately. And yeah, we're going to see the Golden Go take the W. Now, let's take a look at the metagame, Xander. Let's, take a look at exactly what is seeing the most play. And yeah, it looks like we have Golden Go at #1 here at 13%. It's a deck that is, kind of completely came back. It was kind of falling off over the last format, I feel like. But I think that decks kind of forgot about it. And, for example, decks like Gardevoir stopped playing the Drifloon Bravery Charm, for example. And the metagame just, I feel like, kind of changed into where the deck is actually pretty good. So kind of surprised to see it be #1, though. That's like one thing. I would expect like Raging Bolt to be #1, but looks like this is the #1.
Well, in your ideal situation as a Golden Go deck, you get to do the kind of fake single prize thing that like Terapagos decks used to do, where make it so that your opponent can ideally only take a single prize knockout on their turn, and then next turn you bench your Genesect and you evolve into your Golden Goes. But I'm surprised to see it just do so well, because it kind of would imply that they've already found some good answers to Jellicent. I know that Jellicent is not the most dominant item lock in the format, given that it has to be active. So if a timely bundle can get around that as well, so you can do your damage, or even if you just get enough energies in hand to kind of two-shot it over a couple turns, they're not one-shotting you unless they have Monkey Dory damage. And actually, even with Monkey, they're still never getting to it, because it only is doing 160 plus any amount of monkeys. You're not getting 4 monkeys down to knock out a Golden Go.
Yeah, no, exactly. I am kind of curious, though, to see the longevity of Golden Go in this format, because it does very well against the top decks in the format. Like the top, 3 to 5 decks, it does, pretty well. However, it is a very linear deck that, when you start to play against some of those niche decks, it really starts to struggle. Like, for example, when you play up against, let's say, Charizard, for example, Charizard isn't, probably going to be top 5 in playability, but the matchup is, relatively tough overall. Matchups, like Ethan's Typhlosion, Joltik Box as well. Kind of these more, I would say, just like niche decks you kind of struggle with. So when you're in a very isolated, I feel like metagame, your deck is insane. However, the more diverse the metagame gets, I think the weaker that it's feels. So it'll be very interesting to see how it does in this field, because this field's got a whole lot of things. I mean, the most played deck right now is 13%, which, typically at these major in real life tournaments, I feel like the top deck is normally around that 15%, but the second most played deck is only 9%. So this is incredibly diverse. There's so many different decks in this format, and it's really interesting to see right now. I know that there's, a couple different variants of, Gardevoir. We have the Gardevoir Jellicent right now at 5.48%, and then we just have the regular variant of Gardevoir at 5.01%. So it seems like a lot of diversity right now, which is, always very cool to see. I see there's 48 Crustals as well. That's another deck that's showing up. So
more Crustals than Miraidons. How about that?
That is crazy to see.
Would you have put that on your bingo card?
I would not have put that on my bingo card, Xander. I think
I definitely wouldn't have either.
Yeah, I really think that's a deck that people kind of figured out had a lot of potential after NAIC. Kind of similar actually to last year. There was a Regidrago that I think made it into top 16 or top 32 of 2024 NAIC, and then there was that period in between NAIC and Worlds that everyone kind of realized how broken the deck was, and they kind of just started to play it a bunch, right? And I think this Crustle deck isn't necessarily at that point. However, it's a deck that people, once they saw, oh, this card's actually pretty good in this format, they've been kind of flocking to it recently.
Yeah, Crustle seems like a deck that's pretty good at targeting a known metagame, so I would not be surprised to see it do well in these online tournaments where people are just kind of playing some of the big dogs right now. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of exploration into the newer stuff, especially the metagame for this would probably look a little bit different if there wasn't $1,000 worth of prizing on the line.
Yes.
There'd probably be more people willing to willing to
play the good
experiment
stuff
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No messing around here.
Yeah.
But if you're expecting a bunch of decks that just don't have answers to a 150 HP point Pokemon that can't take damage from EXs between
you got the Luxcape
Monkey
as well,
Dory
too.
and it gets big fast.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah, it definitely becomes a pretty menacing deck if you play against the top decks. But, kind of similar to Snorlax Stall, it kind of feels like a deck that if no one techs for it, it's just going to absolutely dominate. However, once it sees success at one singular tournament, then the next 2 to 3 months the deck feels pretty much completely unplayable. That was kind of the Snorlax rotation of success, and I do kind of wonder if Crustle will kind of be in that, I would say, similar position, right, where the deck is, I would say, just super good, and then it's drops from maybe a tier 2 deck all the way down to tier 4, something like that, right? So I'm kind of looking forward to see, kind of the evolution. But a deck that has been seeing a lot of growth recently is going to be Ethan's Typhlosion. This is a deck that does gain access to the Brave Bengal. There have been a couple different ways to play it. You have access to the Drecloak line or the Pidgeot line as well. That, kind of seems to be the two variants that people have been playing. What do you think of this deck? Because it always seemed like a deck that was really close to being good, but just wasn't necessarily able to hit those one-shot numbers. But now, since you have access to the Brave Bengal, do you think this deck is going to see some success moving forward?
One of my best friends in Pokemon right now, Drew Kate, played Ethan's at NAIC and was trying to get me to play it with him. And I just kept joking with him, you're just playtesting for a month from now. You're just too excited. You just got to wait until Brave Bengal comes out. But being able to Arven for your 30 damage modifier instead of having to try to find a Gravity Mountain with a secret box or something, you just have so many more outs to that. And people, you may say, well, you want to be playing Ethan's. You play maybe 2 Ethans a game and then try to Ultra Ball or Earthen Vessel the rest. So after that point, you are pretty happy to play Arvins or other supporters like that. And to get your damage modifier off of a tool is so much more important. Now, I do wonder if you're still going to be able to keep up with some of the rest of the meta decks. Obviously, you're pretty happy to go against Golden Go, given that they are
They have a pretty good Golden Go matchup.
you got a pretty good Golden Go matchup. But I do wonder where you stand versus a big Jellicent that is one-shotting your Typhlosions with some monkey damage, and then if you don't have items to knock them out back. I know that you can get the Ethans off of the Quilava, but if you're not discarding your other Ethans, they might be able to just take the prize lead fast enough to get you out of there. So I think that there's definitely some room for Typhlosion. I'd be curious to see how the new turn rules maybe affect Typhlosion, because you are spending your first couple turns just setting up. I know that's not a problem that we'll have here today, but just to think about what the real world is out there, that the Ethan's deck may just struggle from being a little bit slower. You are just you never have a multi-prize turn unless it's just knocking out their active. You're never doing Devo double prize turns like Grimmsnarl can. So to be a slow setup deck and to try to win a best of 3 might be a little tough. But in terms of just being a better deck overall, like you're definitely getting points from Brave Bengal.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like the Dragapult matchup and the Gardevoir matchup were just so difficult in the past because you just didn't really have a reliable way to one-shot them, but now you do. So pretty much what it's just, I feel like, going to come down to is the deck actually able to function? And I think that's, one of the biggest crux with this deck is that hypothetically it's broken. Hypothetically you get fully set up and you're able to go like 310, and then you have access to things like the Victini as well. I'm going to push you to that critical 320. And yeah, like I feel like you're able to do that. It's pretty good. However, I've played some games with the deck and like you'll just draw these hands and you're like, oh my god, like this hand is just not playable. And I think that's one of the few things that I feel like kind of holds the deck back. However, it is a glass cannon deck, and I do think if the deck is able to set up and fully function, the deck is going to see a lot of success moving forward. It just feels like it's a little bit too inconsistent right now, but the potential is oozing from it. It has so much potential if it's actually able to get going. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it does this tournament. I believe there was one a couple of days ago that went like 13-1-1 in the tournament, which is, pretty cool to see. So, when the deck sets up and gets going, it has a ton of potential, but that's one of the big question marks I feel like with it. But yeah, looks like we got a couple more minutes here until the next round. We got 5 minutes left until the next round starts. We got 619 of the 737 matches that have been completed, and we have exactly 1,507 players. There are some players who did late check-in. They did lose the first round, but if you're interested in still playing in this tournament, late check-in is available if you're okay starting with a round 1 loss. And the event has passed 1,500 players, which is super cool to see. So much of the Pokemon community supporting this event, and yeah, I'm excited to see who's able to take down that $350 first place prize. So yeah, we got a long way to go, but already a pretty interesting round of Pokemon, and I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, and if you're in this tournament already and you are interested in showing us your games, if you think that you are playing a cool deck and you want to possibly be highlighted, I encourage you to make sure that you are in Gabe's Discord so that we can pop in and jump into your match.
Yes, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it here. Someone asked a question, how is the rules for slow playing? Well, that is a great question. So one of the big things about Pokemon TCG Live tournaments is that it is very difficult to rule on slow playing. So the best way to show us that your opponent is slow playing is to head into the judge ruling section that is in the Discord and post a screenshot of the timer difference, because if there's only a 2 or 3 minute timer difference, that's not necessarily a really big deal. However, if there's, let's say, a 10-minute time difference, then that's something that is a lot more easy to be able to be ruled on. So that's something that really yeah, it's important to think about, but they are very difficult to rule on, so bear with us on those.
Yeah, and this round was a little bit weird anyway, where we had to uncrash Limitless, so we should definitely be more in a flow by the next round.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it looks like Owen did say he resolved every issue, which is good. So yeah, looking forward to a little bit more of a smoother the rest of the tournament. So how the structure of this tournament works is it's pretty much the exact same as a regional championship. We have 8 Swiss rounds, best of 1, 30 minutes instead of best of 3. If we did best of 3, then we would be here literally all night. So yes, and then players with 18 or more match points advance to the next phase. So 6-2 makes it into the next phase, and there's going to be 4 more Swiss rounds here. And then players with 30 or more points or top 8. So pretty much you got to go 10-2 to make top cut, and then there's going to be an asymmetrical cut, and then the standard top cut as well. So it is pretty much programmed exactly like a regional championship when it comes to the structure, just will be a little bit shorter than one, as the majority of the tournament, except for the top cut, will be played in best of 1. Pretty, let's say, pretty difficult to do, but hopefully the rest of the rounds end up being as smooth as they can be. So yeah, coming up next year, we have definitely a lot of other decks to show. Would you say there's any type of decks that are really interesting you with this brand new set, Black Bolt and White Flare release? Anything that you really want to see?
For the stream, I mean, I
Yeah.
made my plead for Charizard. I hope that whether it's Pulsar or it's regular Zard, I'd be glad to see either of them. In terms of looking at the metagame, I am very interested to see how these meta differences between Gardevoir, Jellicent, and regular Gardevoir shake out. I know that these are not in the end. There may be some kind of hybrid deck, kind of like how Drampagarb and Espeon Garb kind of became one deck at a certain point in time. That there may be a list that plays a thinner Jellicent and still plays some Drifloons with Bravery Charms. But in the meantime, while people are still kind of learning about this metagame, I would definitely be interested to see where those fall. I know that Gardevoir has been the big bag since rotation, winning so many events, and Jellicent is just a new tool in their belt that maybe they use it for maybe it's the best for a specific tournament as the meta shakes out to be including Jellicent. Or maybe it's better just to have Drifloon options. But I'm just very curious to see how those end up, because the lists are different enough right now that they are kind of different decks.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited to see that. I think another deck that I'm kind of interested in seeing is going to be the Armrouge box. I know that some people were very upset that Prism Energy is currently broken. However, you still got the Luminous, and I don't think that Prism Energy really makes the deck significantly better. I feel like it kind of gives it a boost, but it's not like astronomical. So this is a deck that, in my opinion, has a lot of potential. When you get it fully set up and you get things, like the turn 2 Ampy very much, you have a lot of potential to see success. However, the consistency can sometimes hold itself back. So, that's, one thing that I'm kind of curious to see. I would also say Miraidon as well. There are a couple of different variants of the Miraidon here. It looks like there's just the kind of turbo variant of Miraidon and then the eel variant of Miraidon. It seems like maybe the eel variant they're categorizing as a build with multiple of the electric. Yeah, okay. So it seems like the eel builds specifically have a 2-2 line in them, whereas just the regular variant of the Miraidon has, I guess, at least a 1-1 line, or is just choosing to play Magneton instead. So that's, pretty interesting to see, I guess, the differentiation of them. But it looks like kind of as a whole, this deck has taken up 3.6% of the format, which seems relatively expected. I know that some people think that Joltik Box is just simply a better Miraidon. However, it seems to be doing pretty okay. 18 wins, 17 losses, not too bad here at the very start for a deck that some people think is back in the standard format.
Yeah, Zekrom is a huge player. One of the there's not a ton of additions from the Black Bolt White Flare set, but the ones that did come out are pretty notable. And Zekrom being kind of your Raichu V that requires a lot less energy is a very notable deal. With Magneton, you can give them a prize card to enable yourself to do 50 more damage and power up your attack in one turn. So there's definitely some plus or minuses either way. And as long as Electric Generator is a card that you can be playing in standard, some people are going to high roll with it, and Miraidon can still have its moment. So
yeah. No, definitely. Looks like we got only a couple rounds left here. Time has been called, so just I'm figuring out those final rounds. Sometimes there's judge calls at the very end, so just making sure that gets all completed, and we will be starting the next round here very shortly. We got plenty of different players who are screen sharing here, so looking forward to seeing exactly what we got to look at. It looks like we have a Raging Bolt here. Looks like there's someone who is in stream channel number 5 who's playing Typhlosion right now. That might be a deck that we might want to go watch in a few minutes if they are 1-0. I know that some people have been trying out the Dunsparce variant. I feel like there are a couple of different ways to play the Typhlosion deck. You have the Pidgeot variant, you have the Dracloak variant, and you also, I guess, have the Dunsparce variant. I know that some people have been choosing to play that. I saw this, pretty cool combination. I think it was Jake Gearhart that posted about it, where like you can use a Hilda for the draw energy that draws like 4, and then a Dunsparce, and that's kind of a cool combination. I'm curious to see if more people are gonna, I feel like, try that out. So that's one thing that I'm kind of interested in. So
we got a couple different Miraidon electric decks in our channels as well.
Ooh, we do.
So
Yeah, definitely
those,
want to take a look at those as well. Yeah, no, it's definitely a deck that I want to see in action. See if it's actually able to set up, because I watched a couple games of the deck, and the deck feels a lot more like a high rolly deck. Like when you still, are hitting those generators, the deck feels pretty similar to the one of old. But I feel like it's, when it falls behind or when it has like that little bit like slow start, I feel like it isn't necessarily able to do as much as it once did. So I'm curious to see if people are able to find the perfect list for it. I know that some people are like not even playing the eels, and they're simply just playing let's say like 2/2 Magneton. Like that's one thing. I know some people are playing no Magneton and eels. Some people are playing the 1/1/1/1 split as well. That was the variant that I personally was actually liking quite a bit. Was just kind of having all of those options. So that's one of the builds that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I like that it's still a pretty unique deck. You have a lot of things that you can attack with, and just having the ability to use that Zekrom at the very beginning of the game to one shot pretty much anything in the standard format is really, really good. So
yeah, and we haven't even talked about the Zera Aura yet. That is a new tool from Destined Rivals that allows you for 3 energy to do 210 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Muse, Squawkabillies, Phesandipides, pretty much any of those set up Pokemon that's not a Terra Pokemon can get knocked out by the Zera Aura. Puts a little bit less pressure on you to have boss's orders on a specific turn, leaves a 1 prizer active that can take a 2 prize knockout. Some pretty powerful stuff you can do with that Zekrom.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Or sorry, with the Zera Aura.
Yes, the snipe ability is really cool, because not a whole lot of people are playing Shaman, right? So having the capability just to be able to snipe things. So it does 200 snipe, right?
It's 210 snipe
210,
to
oh my
a
gosh.
EX.
Yes, so that's actually really cool. Okay, yeah, so Shaman wouldn't even matter. So yeah, you can one shot pretty much any relevant support Pokemon. Like Mew falls, Pheasantipede falls as well. Trying to think if there's any other big ones. I guess Squawkabilly as well. So like the ability just to clean up games at the very end is really, really nice. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I would imagine that the biggest one is Pheasantipede. I know that the Miraidon deck is not one that's really playing Iono, but being able to play like an Arven on your turn instead of having to play a boss does make it a little bit easier for you to get specific combos. And so just being able to knock out their draw, if you don't care about their attacker, but you care about their draw power, that is a very strong attack to be able to do so.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like, yeah, we just got a few more rounds here finishing up. Looks like they're just completing those last couple of rounds. Once again, the event started a couple minutes late just because Limitless crashed. So this next round should go very, very smoothly. Everything should be nice and easy. But yeah, just waiting for that here. And yeah, let's just take a look at chats and see what people are talking about here. Oh, looks like some people are playing 4 Iono in the Dawn list. Yeah, that's actually one thing that some people have been kind of debating is, do you actually want to play Arven in the Miraidon? I know that some lists are playing heavy research, heavy Iono. Some people are still saying, okay, I want to have access to that guaranteed tool and item card as well. I'm kind of curious to see exactly, I feel like the differentiations, like what build is going to see the most success, moving forward.
Yeah.
Is it going to be just that kind of standard Arven build that we saw in the past, or has Arven kind of gotten significantly weakened over the past couple of sets, and is just using something like Professor's Research and hoping to find things like the electric generator a better way to play the deck? I think that's the one big question. Someone's asking here about the time extension. Yes, the reason why we have about a 5 to 10 minute delay is because Limitless crashed at the very beginning, so we're just trying to get this round fixed, finish up so players actually have an accurate representation of what the match should be, and then everything else should be back on schedule moving as normal, just simply because Limitless crashed. I literally spoke to Robin, and Robin said he didn't prepare the website, I guess, as well as it could have been for the amount of bandwidth or whatever that was used. I don't think he was prepared. He said he didn't realize, and he should have manually scaled it up. So that's how crazy this event was, where the person who literally runs the website did not know that I was going to be this big, and did not scale up the capabilities of the website, you know, I guess just like right before the tournament to handle all the traffic. But that's okay. Things happen. He's now fixed that, and, you know, hopefully for the future as well, things will go smoothly too. And that, yeah, I mean, these events are popping off, you know, definitely surprising people with, you know, how many players there are. So it is all good.
There are more people in this tournament than played in NAIC 2017.
That is
How about
crazy.
that for a statistic?
Yeah. How do you make a stream channel on Discord? I can make one here. They're completely full at the moment. Is that you, Lee? Leo Bowie? I feel like that's you.
Yeah, at a certain point, we may want to make sure that everyone, or not to be rude, but we may want to make sure that everyone that's in our streaming channels is of a, like, potentially advancing to day 2 record.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, making sure that we actually have that. I did create another one for you, Lee, actually, if that is you, because I definitely would actually like to cast over your game. Don't kick me. As long as I don't kick me. Yeah, like these events, like, I originally thought that 20 stream channels was, you know, going to be enough, but now we might have to make 30 for the next one.
Yeah. You know what would be, this is just an idea for the future. You could, like, if you kind of knew what the metagame was going to be, you could maybe do, like, Raging Bolt Channel 1, Raging Bolt Channel 2, Raging Bolt Channel 3, and then, like Typhlosion 1, Typhlosion 2, Typhlosion 3, like something like that, so you have your variation set up. I see that players are, like, naming their little stream with what deck they're playing. I didn't even know that was possible.
That's phenomenal. Yes, if you are streaming, please do that and put your record, because it makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Man, I'm so pumped. I'm in the middle of a thunderstorm right now, so if my power goes out and I can't commentate, I'm gonna be so bummed.
Yeah, no, definitely. This has been pretty, you know, it's pretty crazy. I'm excited to see all the cool decks. You know, I feel like there's got to be something cool that's, you know, going to come up. So that's, you know, kind of the one thing I'm looking forward to seeing. There's, oh my goodness, there's a copper draw at 1-0.
I just saw that too. I didn't want to interrupt you. we gotta find out who this Copperage is.
Yes, Vector. Vector here with the Monkey Dory copper draw, kind of just tank deck.
Yeah, please report to the principal's office, and by that I mean a stream channel in the Discord. Playing a 2-1 Archaladon too, that is pretty neat. Power up your Copperaja fast, and then you can no Turo. I'm kind of surprised by no Turo, but
yeah, no Turo. I mean, like, you're kind of like just a high HP deck that you, I guess you kind of want to tank with that. So
well, I was thinking you maybe want to, like, reset the Archaladon, but you also have Turbo Energize, so you don't have to use your Archaladon to power up the Copperaja.
Yeah. It looks like the next round is up here. Round number 2. It looks like we finally got through that, and everything is reset to what it should be here. We got plenty of time, and yeah, we got definitely a lot of different decks to go over. Now, the big question is figuring out what cool decks we want to stream here. Looks like there is a Miraidon at 1-0 here at stream channel number 10. I personally really want to see this, Xander.
Let's do it.
So let's hop over to stream number 10.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, you are good.
All right.
And hopping into round number 2 here, we have Miraidon at 1-0. Looks like they got their opponent added, and we're going to be starting here very shortly. So looking forward to see exactly how this variant of the Miraidon is going to do here. Looks like they are waiting. It seems like TCG Live is starting to add some more interesting features. We saw the brand new edition of the card decks, which actually makes it a little bit easier to see your collection. It's not as good as TCGO, but it seems like they're trying to make some improvements, which is, you know, a good thing, because I feel like it's been a widely controversial thing that there's not really a whole lot on the website. So
all right, this match is at fake channel 9 or fake table 90 if you're looking to pull up both lists.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, let's take a look here.
This is Miraidon with a 2/2 Magneton, no electric for anyone interested, and they are against
this is a good one.
Hollow Box. This is going to be really fun.
Yes, this is going to be really cool. So we see 2 decks that, you know, people are kind of paying attention to right now, but haven't really I feel like broken into that tier 1 yet. So, I think that one of these decks, definitely has a lot of potential. And I'm excited to see exactly which one shows to be the better deck here at the moment. So yeah, we have Paradox, who is going to be playing Ho-Oh, and then we have the Loop, and they will be playing Maridon here. So yeah, let's hop into it here and see how they're able to do. Should be exciting.
Yeah, interested in doing a little bit of a once-over on these lists. The Maridon list is playing a future booster capsule, which would, if it came up, allow for Iron Hands to knock out Armor Rouge. So that might be a thing that we see. Prime Catcher is in the list as well as 2 Zekroms. So got some big attackers coming for the late game of the Maridon deck. As for the opponent on Ho-Oh Armor Rouge, nothing out of the ordinary. There is a Twilight Masquerade Iron Leaves, which is kind of cool to see, as it can knock out Grimmsnarl in one shot. You're a little short on knocking out Charizard, as well as a Lily's Clefairy and Lily's Pearl. So
wow, okay.
Maybe some Prize Denial coming up as well.
Yeah, a whole lot of spice. I'm surprised to not see the Durant in the deck. I feel like a lot of the Ho builds have been playing the Durant, because the Durant's actually able to pretty comfortably one-shot those high HP things, towards the middle portion of the game. So it looks like they're opting, though, for that Iron Leaves, maybe just because they have access to Switch. That, might be the reason as to why they're playing it. So we'll see, though. I know that Prism Energy isn't used for this tournament, as the card is banned on TCG Live. So I wonder how they're actually able to set it up. Maybe they just play Grass Energies. I'm kind of curious.
They're playing 3 Luminous and a Legacy.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that's how they're doing it. Wait, but does that even work, though? Because if you touch the Legacy, doesn't the Luminous just shut off entirely?
Well, yeah, but the
Luminous...
Iron Leaves is grass, colorless. So you don't need both.
Wait, which Iron Leaves? Oh, it's this Iron Leaves.
It's not the EX.
Oh, it's the baby one. Oh,
it's
the baby one. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. I was so confused because I was like, what are you talking about, Xander? I was just like, I'm pretty sure that...
I do see where you're confused. No, I guess that I got into cube mode and was like, oh yeah, I know this Iron Leaves, and just expected
that's
everyone
a
else
GLC one, right? Yeah, that's
be
the one.
familiar. Yeah. This Maridon hand is really bad until you remember that Squawkabilly is in the list.
Yes.
So hope he did not prize it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a little embarrassing.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty rough start here, I feel like, for the Loop here, if they're not able to get anything. But yeah, looks like Paradox has a Ho-Oh, which is, always good. And pretty much after this is just going to be looking for 1 to 2 Charcadet on that first turn. You don't really need to get a second one here. But we see that Earthen Vessel for those 2 Fire Energies. That's absolutely huge, as they're going to be able to get 2 energies right off the bat onto that Ho, which is actually a pretty decent attacker versus, some pretty powerful decks. For example, this card is, pretty good against, Dragapult, for example, Grimmsnarl as well. Just, having that healing capabilities is really, really nice. However, when you're playing up against a deck that can one-shot you pretty easily, you probably don't want to be attacking with it. So they're definitely going to want to get this guy out of the active, as quickly as they possibly can here, because they'll be looking.
Funny you say that. 230 HP on this Ho-Oh is actually a little bit harder than you'd imagine.
Yeah, because no Zapdos, right?
The Ho-Oh, because no Zapdos in the list, and it's not weak to lightning. So you might be able to get that first knockout with the Ho-Oh. And given how Nico's hand looks, if Squawkabilly gets put down, you can knock out the Squawkabilly with Ho-Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, we see the Nest Ball here coming out. Gonna probably be getting themselves another Charcadet. They could potentially also get themselves a second Ho. They don't really need a second Ho here. Maridon doesn't actually, like, now that you mention it, doesn't have a great way of one-shotting at the beginning of the game, because it doesn't have access to Raichu, right? And the only way they really one-shot is pretty much towards the end of the game with something like the Zekrom. So this is going to be pretty interesting to see. We see the Cornerstone. Okay, wow. So there's a bunch of junk in this deck here. This is a pretty crazy start.
Yeah. One thing to mention earlier, I just was kind of assuming that Ethan's Ho-Oh was going to use the ability to attach the energy to itself. But no, he Ultra Balled and discarded those away.
Yeah,
so is going to have to draw into an Earthen Vessel or something to get a big attack next turn. Generator off the top. That stinks, because you're still going to have to Squawkabilly away this hand. You could get a Maridon here, but that is so greedy, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think you definitely want to get yourself a squawkabilly here. It looks like they do play the Zera Ore, which will probably be very important in this matchup, just, being able to snipe many of those liabilities off the board. Hitting 210 is, kind of that perfect number to be able to take out the majority of their two prizers on the bench. So
yeah, and funny enough, it would knock out Cornerstone, but if Cornerstone was active, but Zera Aura does specify that it has to work on benched Pokemon. So even when it's active, you still can't knock it out. So that Cornerstone is safe from Zera Aura. There's the Squawk and Seas. Is going to be able to get a Miraidon off of this hand and has an Arven.
Yeah, looks like a pretty decent hand, I would say, like for this Squawk. This is pretty much all you could like reasonably ask for here is, this hand of, having access to the Magneton. You can actually use the magnetic charge as well on this first turn.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, this actually is, pretty good. You could potentially power up, I guess, an Iron Hands or a Zekrom, or actually probably something like Zera Aura seemed like a pretty good attacker to power up this turn. That definitely would have been an attacker that I feel like you would probably would have wanted to go for, because then like on the second turn of the game, you can snipe something for 210 and pretty much present them with a one prize attacker, which can kind of skew that price trade. So little interesting for them to get the Iron Hands here. I guess the Iron Hands, is going to be able to deal with things like the Iron Leaves and also the Squawk. So maybe they're hoping to use something like Amp on the next turn, and then the opponent's not able to respond. I think that's potentially what they're trying to do here. So yeah, we see the magnetic charge.
Only thing is a little nerve-wracking about going for the Zera Aura play shot by Iron Hands, so
yes,
maybe not
true.
the immediate nest ball from I'm just going to call the opponent Paradox because I'm not going to say the whole username every time. Restart for 2.
Paradox the only. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the unique things about this Ho-Oh box deck is it's kind of difficult to play against because they just play so much random junk in the deck that is like in certain situations super good. Like the Chi-Yu, right? Speaking of random junk here.
The Chi-Yu knocks out the Magnemite because he's playing the 50 HP magnetic charge Magnemite. If it was the 60 HP Magnemite, the Chi-Yu would not be able to take a knockout here. This Iron Leaves might be... Oh, wait, no, the Latias is already on the board. I was just not used to seeing the expensive full art. Because we're playing on live, everyone's got the expensive one.
Yep.
So
everything's full of bling here.
Yeah.
Everything is full of bling. So we do see the Cornerstone. Okay, so going into the Cornerstone, this card is immune to things like the Miraidon, but oh, they don't have anything. Uh-oh, okay, so looks like an important turn for the Miraidon player and an Arven for potentially something like that Prime Catcher. It seems like the Loop is putting themselves in a pretty decent position here if they are able to find 2 prize cards, which they honestly should be able to do so here.
Yeah, you can Prime Catcher for the Future Booster Capsule and or you can Arven for the Prime Catcher and the Future Booster Capsule, and then Paradox would have no way to move the energies on the board. Curious if that is going to be the line to go for.
That's 100% the line. If you can amp that.
It's definitely the line.
Oh, do they see it? It looks like they do.
Okay, they see the line.
Yeah.
So this Armarouge is gone, and you can evolve into the Magneton to have for any follow-up. So even without a supporter, you're still taking 2 prize cards here, and you've got the Magneton on deck. Oh. Choosing for the... Don't bring up the Mew! Okay, oh, so he's going to just Arm Press.
Oh, okay, so he's going to Arm Press for KO and get an energy attachment guaranteed on a different Pokemon? Because that's probably what I would do. Yeah, okay, so I guess they're just saying, I'm going to take 2 prizes here. I'm going to get a guaranteed energy on the Zera Aura. I personally would have definitely gone for that. Amp you very much. That definitely seems like the better play, because if you do that... then Paradox cannot really do anything on the next turn, making sure that your Iron Hands would be able to take a 4 prize card lead, and at that point, we should be able to close it out with something like a Magneton and a Zekrom. So a little bit of an interesting play here.
If you decided that you wanted to Zera Aura next turn, then you're still going to be putting, like, you're kind of losing an energy on the Zera Aura if you wanted to Magneton, right? Because you have to Magneton up to the 3. So if you attach to the Iron Hands, you're not losing the ability to have used Zera Aura on the next turn. So I think that I'm still with you. We do see a Turbo Energize attached to the Latias, so
they're cooking here.
This game might, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting here. I think the big issue now is that if I'm the loop, you're probably just going into Zekrom and, or not Zekrom, into Zeraora, the other Pokemon that starts with the Z.
You did the same thing that I did earlier. Now,
Yeah,
I've ruined you. I'm so sorry.
That's all good. I think that's probably what we're doing here. Because if you go down to 2 prizes, because you don't have a Gust effect here, unfortunately. But you can just snipe something for 210. I mean, you could snipe potentially the Armor here, or you could just snipe something. I guess like Cornerstone. There's so many options. To have here.
And the loop is playing 2 Night Stretchers, so you could just swing into this Latios and save your Zeraora to be able to like take a knockout on something and then take a knockout again. Time is running low though. We do see a retreat to the Magnemite. That's what's being hovered.
Yes.
Free retreat granted by the. Oh, I hope that he does not think that this is going to allow him to Pheasantipede.
I think what's going to happen is he's going to blow up the Magneton and then attach the... Wait, can you attach the energy that gets discarded? Yeah. Does that... I think that works, right? I think that's what he's trying to figure out, is that if that works. Because if you pop the Magneton, you can then attach the 3rd energy.
So I think what he was going to try to do was retreat the energy off of the Iron Hands and then pop Magneton to attack with
there's
Mariah.
the capsule.
But the future booster capsule is giving you free retreat. So he checked his discard pile, didn't have enough energies in there. He was able to attach for turn. He's still in a great spot. This is not like it's, don't start emoting. Come on.
Yeah, it's still fine. Now, we do see the Wellspring.
Wait. Okay.
The punish?
Yeah, you are already dead though. So this is the 2 prize. Oh, okay. So this is fine. You can Magneton out of it. What is Magneton's retreat cost?
But can you Magneton the energy that's on the Magneton? Because there's no energy in the discard pile. So when you use the ability, like technically, I don't know if you can get that energy in the discard, right? Is that how the ability works?
As far as I know, PCG Live is always weird. But
but you can evolve and the effect goes away.
Attach. Yeah, so he can always just evolve and retreat.
Yeah. I don't know if he knows about that ruling, though. Okay, now we do see the attach here. Are we not going to see... Oh, we're just going to...
Not a speedball.
I feel like you could have just retreated the Magneton, gotten the 2 energies, because for anyone who doesn't know, when you evolve a Pokemon, the effects... completely go away, and technically I guess Sob is considered a condition that gets healed, so you would have been able to retreat there. So I remember playing against some of the Pidgeot control decks with Gardevoir, and when they would try and Sob, something like a Kirlia, all you had to do was simply turn that Kirlia into a Gardevoir, and the effect of Sob goes away, and you're able to retreat. Same thing applies for this situation as well. And oh my gosh, are we going to see a Cruel Arrow?
Earlier on the Zeraora is actually not bad, because you are going to assume that your opponent is going to knock out this Magnemite into a Magnet, or knock out the Magneton when they evolve it at some point. So that does mean that they'll be back on evens. However, I cannot imagine this ends up favorably for Paradox, as the Night Stretcher is already in hand to get the Zeraora back. So you really only got to do one big knockout. Alternatively, would have loved to see the evolve and retreat last turn to arm press the Wellspring Ogerpon EX, but we got to make sure that we just don't have diminishing returns on this play, or sunken cost. That's what I was looking for. Yes. But no, instead hits the hands.
Maybe they're just trying to like pick this apart. But I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense. You definitely KO the Zeraora.
Yeah, you just retreat and Zeraora here, right?
Yeah, I think we just take down. I mean, there's a lot of things you can take down. Yeah, you can take down the Latios. You can take down the
Zeraora. And now that the Zeraora is on the board,
leaving the Zeraora is, I think, going to come back to punish
I definitely think taking down the Latios is best to force them to lose the energies.
I would definitely evolve into Magneton now, because there's energy in the discard pile, which means you can guarantee just, pop the Magneton the next turn. Or you can't use it on active. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you cannot use it on active. But I guess like regardless, you would want Pheasantipede to stay in the active, because if the Pheasantipede is staying in the active for the future, you're just going to be able to knock it out with something like Zekrom or that Miraidon. So from this point, how does the Armor Rouge player really come back here? I mean, this Zeraora has just made it very, very difficult. If you choose to knock out the Zeraora, you do only take 1 prize card, and Paradox is still at 6 right now, so you go on to an odd prize trade, which doesn't feel great. I feel like there's a lot of problems right here that they're falling into.
Yeah, not drawing the best on the other side is our opponent. I would have liked to probably see the knockout on the Zero Aura. You do open a bench space for a potential Pheasantipity, but I think that is worth it at the cost of your opponent. Like, you're going to end up back on evens. Also, with the Legacy energy, you can set up some stuff as well. Completely forgot about that as an option. Here's a Superior to get some energies out of the discard pile. Wasn't able to see how many were in there. Our player flashed it a little bit too quick, but
yeah, no, definitely. Looks like here we're gonna see.
Yeah. But I think you definitely were to take out the Zero Aura.
Yes, I definitely think I was there, or like would have been better here. But is this just game next turn if they're able to pop Magneton? Because they should be taking 1 prize card here, right? So they'll go down to 5, and then Magneton means Zekrom is doing how much more? Should be.
It would be doing 100 more, but with the Legacy energy,
we're only taking 1.
Would...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like FCBC armor is in the chat. Shout out to FCBC armor. The best sleeves. You know, I personally love to use them. If they're interested in getting some FCBC sleeves for a discount, you can hop onto their website and use code SMART for 15% off on all of their product. So yeah, shout out to FCBC for sponsoring this tournament. I know that a lot of people,
and they just gifted 5 subs.
Yeah, and they gifted 5 subs. You know, thank you so much for the 5 subs. Yeah, make sure to go check out their website, fcbcarmor.com, and use code SMART for 15% off on the best sleeves in the Pokemon TCG and all, you know, pretty much card games that fit all sizes. So, all right, there we go. Looks like Miraidon is able to take down the W. I know that you mentioned you were excited about the Zero Aura, and we were seeing Zero Aura just completely dominate there. Just, you know, showed that when you actually are able to get the Miraidon set up, there is so much potential, Xander.
Yeah, that whole game was about the Zero Aura. It was about having the Zero Aura. It was about not knocking out the Zero Aura, and then the Zero Aura ended up winning the game for our active player on our side. Let's go ahead and take a peek and see where we can jump. We still got a good amount of time left in the round.
Let's do it. 100%.
To move forward.
Yeah, let me know if you see anything. Looks like
Trying to.
If like hover over and see if they're still playing. That's like usually what I'd like to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
It looks like a lot of people finished up pretty quickly here. There's a Nicholas, it looks like. There's Bursquick as well. That's someone. Anything you see interesting?
A lot of people are customizing their characters, is what I see.
Yeah, looks like they're waiting for the next round here. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Looks like how much more time do we got to the next round? We got about 10 minutes here. 568 matches have been completed here, so it looks like a lot of these players have already finished. So,
yeah.
Let's take a look.
How's our meta game looking?
Yeah, let's go take a look at the meta game and see what the win.
Curious how our meta game is looking.
Yes, I'm very curious to see exactly what, I guess, things are looking like right now, because it's always interesting to see what decks are doing well, what decks aren't.
I'm blushing. Look at how Charizard's doing. 55% Pulsar, 55% Charizard Pidgeot.
Completely dominating here.
Call me a prophet. Yeah.
Let's update the standings.
Gardevoir Jellicent at 40% win rate, given it is the one of the new kids on the block, so
it's
we
on
do
fraud
have to
watch right now.
A little bit of grace. Yeah, it's got to give a little bit of grace to our players as they're trying to pick it up. But 40% win rate is a little tough.
Yeah, definitely a little bit tough here. It looks like Golden Go, which has been absolutely dominating tournaments recently at 52%, so relatively good. Raging Bolt as well at 50%, so it seems like those decks are doing well. Grimmsnarl Frostlass, though, despite both the Golden Go matchup and the Raging Bolt matchup, in my opinion, being relatively difficult, is still seeing a ton of success at 122 wins and 99 losses. And then, yeah, you know, kind of like you said, Charizard showing up. I know there's a couple different variants of the Dragapult Charizard. I know some people have been opting to play the Prime Catcher instead of the Unfair Stamp, which is, you know, really powerful against those pesky, you know, mind bend decks, being able to use a gust effect, break through that, confusion. That's, pretty interesting to see. And then, yeah, scrolling down here, it looks like the Jellicent Gardevoir 38%. Once again, I feel like kind of similar to Grimmsnarl when Grimmsnarl first, came out. It's, kind of having like a teething process right now, right? And like where it's brand new and just needs time to grow. And I think that the lists right now are relatively, I would say, unoptimized. So I'm curious to see exactly what the top lists of the Gardevoir Jellicent are once the Smart Series is over today. But yeah, are there any decks that surprise you here? Anything that's doing exceptionally well or exceptionally bad? I'd love to know.
No, just to discuss a deck that we have not talked about yet. Flareon is our 8th most played deck. I would imagine that the Flareons are pretty happy to see a metagame with Golden-Go as the top dog. However, they are at 47.5 win rate per my last refresh. Yep, same as it is now. Flareon is a deck that has always been really neat. It kind of, to me, feels like if you draw the right hands, that you are always in a good spot. However, you can't search for more than 2 cards off of a Noctowl, and sometimes it feels like you need 4. So I hope that I think it's a very interesting deck. It's definitely the kind of deck that I like to see doing well, giving players a lot of agency and options. But curious to see where it stacks up. When you have other single prize fire Pokemon that can fiend on Golden-Go, might not necessarily be that worth it to be a 2-prize fire Pokemon that fiends on Golden-Go, especially if they start playing like rigid bands or weird stuff like that to mess up your math with your first attack.
Yeah, no, definitely. It looks like also, I know, speaking of Typhlosion, I know that we spoke about this probably about 30 minutes ago. It seems like it's shown itself to be a relatively decent deck. 66 and 61, that's relatively respectable overall. So good to see a deck that is gotten a lot of question marks, I feel like, on viability. Some people love the deck, some people hate the deck. So it's cool to see that seeing some success. Unfortunately, Ceruledge is having a very rough time at 8-20. There actually was a Ceruledge that made it into top cut last week. However, it seems like it's having a much harder time right now. Maybe a large portion of the community just feel like the Golden-Go is just a more stable variant of Ceruledge. I feel like, Ceruledge can definitely be a very, I would say, high rolly type deck, whereas Golden-Go just having that draw power just gives itself so much more consistency.
Point bonus is so nuts.
It's amazing.
Crazy. you just can't brick Golden-Go anymore. Like, not even like you really used to be able to brick Golden-Go, but the added consistency from Genesect, meaning that on your second turn of the game, you're going to be drawing likely 3 extra cards, and then every turn after that, possibly 4 or 5. Like, even if you Iono them to 2, between Pheasantipede and Golden-Go draws, like, they just need to draw into an Arven for a superior energy retrieval to win the game. Like, that deck just can't be bricked anymore.
Yes, exactly. It's just, it's able to thin itself out so consistently. Like, pretty much if they draw into one Cypher Maniacs, they pretty much can find everything they need, right? And that's, one of the things about it is that it's kind of a high maintenance deck, but also a low maintenance deck as well, in a way. There just are some games where you set up such a dominating board state and there just isn't really anything that you can do. Things, like Iono or any type of hand disruption just isn't going to do anything, because once they get their board state set up, they're just able to, flow super consistently and, draw through pretty much their entire deck. It's a deck that, yes, it did lose, a couple important cards, things, like the Radiant Greninjas of the world, the Pokestops as well, but that doesn't stop it from being one of the best decks in the standard format. So yeah, shout out to Golden-Go for doing quite well to start off. One of the other decks that I'm kind of interested in seeing is going to be that Flareon deck, because it's kind of a deck that doesn't consistently beat everything in the format, but kind of has the ability to tech for, I feel like, every single matchup. And I think that since like the Golden-Go is coming back and seeing success, I wonder if that kind of leaves an opening for the Flareon decks to start to see success again.
Yeah, and with all the different evolutions that exist to cover weaknesses, you really can splash your attackers as you want. Leafeon has been an attacker that has picked up a little bit of steam in the face of Grimmsnarl and potential Charizards, as opposed to just like the Flareon and Sylveon that the decks were playing. I've seen a little bit of Umbreon going around as well, which could be good in the face of Jellicents out there, knocking those out pretty easily, as well as Guardies. But it really is just one of the decks that if you know what's going to be in the room and you draw like the better half of your deck, you're going to do very well. And there's a lot of Flareons at 2-0 so far as well, so maybe we can be interested in checking on one of those. We haven't seen any of that on broadcast yet.
100%. Yeah, no, there's definitely quite a few. I know that one of them is Bartek from Poland. They ended up making top cut last time. We also have Emma Garden. I believe this is Emma Hagen. She's a pretty competitive European player that has done well at plenty of tournaments. So, maybe, we'll potentially get them on. But yeah, it looks like there are quite a few of the Flareon Noctowls, and yeah, they seem to be doing pretty well. There's a lot of 2-0s right now. I'm so excited to see that deck if it shows up. I know that we spoke a little bit about the Crustal archetype as well. This is, kind of a pretty much matchup roulette deck, and it seems to be doing relatively okay. 43 and 46, pretty much expected. I feel like these, type of decks usually go around that 50-50, and yeah, there seems to be multiple 2-0s and a lot of different players who are playing this archetype. So yeah, we got 2 minutes left until the next round. The majority of the rounds are completed. We got about 23 matches that are left to be completed, and then we'll be hopping into round number 3.
Yeah, we should check what Stream Channel 9 is about. This is labeled Turbo Wellspring Flareon, and from the highlight, it's got Noctowl, Pidgeot, Flareon, and Wellspring in it. So definitely some Noctowl pile going on Stream Channel 9. That might be something. And they are 2-0, according to that note.
I just shot them a message saying that they're up next. Yeah. We got to do them.
Okay, sweet.
2-0, Turbo Wellspring, Flareon. Definitely a pretty cool deck here.
That is a clickbait title for me, and it's working.
Yes, I'd love to see actually
Torrential
that
Pump
entire
is my
60.
jam.
Yes, Torrential Pump is... one of the interesting things that we saw, I believe, last week or the week before for the Smart Series was there actually have been some Terror Box decks that have been making their way back up to the top, because there's quite a few players who just aren't really respecting Wellspring and are not playing Shaman. So that creates a very unique metagame where a deck that completely fell off the face of the earth actually becomes relatively viable again. So I'm curious to see if there's any of these Wellspring decks, that pretty much just say, a lot of people are cutting Shaman, I'm going to take the risk and try and hit some turn 2 Torrential Pumps to board wipe some players. That's something I'm really interested in seeing.
Yeah, I think that there was also a pretty big fear with the Team Rocket's Watchtower coming out in the last set. Like, how many people are going to be playing Watchtower in the real world? It's a very powerful tech, both in the early turns and in the late game against these Noctowl combo-based decks. And looking at the results from NAIC, really not a lot of people are playing Watchtower in their decks. So come to the right weekend with a Noctowl combo deck, and they're still as powerful as ever.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like we have the next almost next round. I got 5 seconds left. Yeah, 5 seconds left. But anyways, yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other really cool archetypes that have shown up here. I always like going down to like the very bottom, and you'll see some
waiting
decks.
Matches.
Yeah, I always like just kind of scrolling through and seeing if there's any of like those decks that only 1 or 2 people are playing, and sometimes they have like very impressive win rates. For example, Poison Terrapagos 3-1 start, pretty cool to see. I always like just kind of looking down here.
There is a Yan Mega at 2-0.
That is pretty cool. Love to see that.
Yeah, and before anyone comes in here and says 2-0 at a online tournament, how legitimate is that? There are so many people playing in this tournament. So I know that sometimes people grief online results, but at a certain point where there's this many people in the tournament, you cannot flack it. It is impressive to see people do well. There's a Serena at 2-0.
Yeah.
What is this?
There's a lot of really good players.
Serena, Pidgeot, Brute Bonnet, Volcanion. Oh, this is hilarious. I'm in.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I believe actually the number 1 or number 2 European player actually in the world is playing. I believe Daniel Magda. I believe they're playing under Darth Magda. They are 2-0 with Golden Go. I know they played Golden Go at the Azul Invitational this weekend, so I'm going to assume that Darth Magda is said person. So yeah, lots of very talented players. We've seen so many great players compete in these tournaments, and I just love creating competition. That's kind of the main reason is to give players something outside of having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars a year flying to tournaments. Not everyone can necessarily afford that, right? That's one of the big things. So I pretty much built this series to give back for the community, so that plenty of players who might not be able to really attend 10 to 15 regionals a year, they have something that matters to them, which is really, really important to me. So yeah, shout out to everyone for supporting the events, and hopefully there is bigger and even better ones in the future. And yeah, we're just getting started here. I know that you'll be with me for just a couple of rounds, but you're more than welcome to stay as long as you want. And yeah, it's been great having you today.
Yeah, I know this is so fun. I know that we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but if you're watching this and you see a lot of people hanging out on a Twitch stream or something, wondering what's going on, this is the same format as both the World Championships and the first regional Pittsburgh coming up. So whether you're a Worlds player who is looking to learn about the metagame and just have as much tournament experience as possible, or you are looking just to check out what Pokemon is about, this is a great tournament for you to see what's going on in our game. So many unique decks are doing well, and I cannot tell you what's going to take down the tournament.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if it was something surprising. That's always the one thing that I like to see. I know that Gabriel Fernandez won the previous one, and they were able to take down the tournament with Drifloon Gardevoir, which was kind of the variant of Gardevoir that I feel like wasn't seeing a whole lot of play after Isaiah Bradner won the most recent North American International Championships with the heavy Monkey Dory, and, things like the energy switch as well. So it was cool to see, I guess, a variant of Gardevoir that a lot of people kind of forgot about say, hey, I'm still a great way to play arguably the strongest deck in the standard format. So that was cool to see. Very cool to see. Yeah. But anyways, here it looks like we have a couple more judge calls here.
Now would be a great time if anyone in the chat has a question while we've got a little bit more chat visibility. If you want to throw something in there, we'd be glad to answer. So far, some people in the chat are excited about EVBox. I am too. I would love to see EVs exist as like a top dog in the metagame. A fan favorite Pokemon and a really cool deck.
Yeah.
Kind of wins on both ends. Opinions on Hydreigon, we are asked from Twitch. I'm curious if Hilda gives that deck anything. Oh, yeah, that one. Oh, I forgot.
You can play the
about
TM blind side and
that
just, slap on ignition energy. I think that's pretty cool. Someone asked a question of who are we watching next? We are watching the Spicy Turbo Wellspring Flareon deck next.
Yeah, okay, I gotta read this Hydreigon real quick. This art is thick for this illustrator.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We're getting a bunch of questions in here. So someone asked, donuts or burgers? Depends on the day and the time.
Yeah, does the clock say AM or PM? I think that might determine my answer.
Jeremy Jallin said Pedro Eugenio Torres is on Zork and Zork EX. Oh boy. That's really cool. How many match points for day 2? There's no day 2, it's phase 2. You need to go at least 6 wins and 2 losses to advance to the second phase of the tournament. And then 10-2 should make it into a symmetrical top cut. That's kind of, where it's at right now. The previous week, you had to go I think, what was it? 8-1, I guess, actually, 7-1-1 to make it. So 10-2 is slightly easier simply because you can lose a second round and still possibly make it into top cut. So that's, kind of the reason as to why we set it up like this. We set it up exactly how a regional championship would be running. Jeremy did say Pedro is 2-0. What is this labeled under? Ooh. Is it labeled under other?
Yeah, I'm trying to find. There is a Hydreigon at 2-0 as well. However, they are not playing the new Hydreigon. It is Hydreigon, Dusknoir, and Pidgeot.
Oh, here it is. This is I found Pedro's deck.
Okay, wait, where is it?
It's under Zoroark. Thank you, Jeremy. Shout out, Jeremy. Pokemon TCG caster does a great job always. Thank you for telling us about this pretty crazy deck here. This is cooking.
A huge, yeah. One thing that does stink a little bit for our Zoroark enjoyers is that Zorua and Zorua are two different cards. It does mean that you can play more Zoroarks in your deck, so if that's your goal, then congratulations. But
I think that's Pedro's goal here. There's 7 Zoruas.
Yeah, you cannot evolve one into the other, which is a little bit of a bummer. We do have pairings for round 3 up, by
fantastic.
the way.
All right, awesome. So yeah, this is a multi-time regional champion and also an international champions list. You know, pretty cool. Hopefully they go far. I know it's pretty late for them over in Spain. I think it's like past midnight now for them. So shout out to Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro's a friend of mine, and you know, super nice guy, and yeah, really cool archetype that he's playing at this tournament.
Are we going to Stream Channel 9?
Yes, we're heading over to Stream Channel number 9 here. We're going to be watching Wellspring Flareon Turbo deck, which is, you know, pretty cool. Give me like 5 more decibels of volume. I'm not sure, honestly. I think I'm fine. I think it's like fine. Like it's like sitting in the green personally for me. So what do you think of Wugtrio Mill at the moment with Ignition Energy? That is a wonderful question. I haven't thought about it. All right, sorry about that. So let's hop over.
I was about to say, I don't want to lose you.
No, you're good. I'm on my way. All right, so let's take a look here. We have this crazy concoction that we're going to watch here. It is Stan here versus. Oh
wait,
I
know this.
This is Pedro.
This is it.
Yes,
we got it.
This is Pedro Torres. Okay, cool. Yes. This is fantastic. We actually
I was literally like, I recognize this name. No way.
That's crazy.
What a crazy twist of fate.
Yes.
This is going to be so cool. Okay.
Funny how that works. Yes. What's this person's name that we're watching? Stan? Yeah, Stan. All right, here. Yeah, that is a crazy coincidence here. So we are watching here. Stan played box deck.
What table number is this on Limitless?
That is a great question. I don't know. I checked that. Yeah, pretty cool to see Pedro.
Well, I just didn't know if that's how you found the match.
Oh, I just saw their username. Their username is Sinichi, which is.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's just Pedro. That's how I found it here. But yeah, pretty.
I got thrown off because there's also a Pedro T that is 2-0.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I just know their username because that's what they go by on most, I feel like, social media accounts. Yeah. So once I saw Sinichi, I was like, oh, that's the one. Yeah. Who's the other person casting? That would be Xander Bennett. Shout out Xander for coming out here.
Hello, yes.
Helping run the tournaments.
Long-time player.
Yeah. You top forward Fort Wayne, right? Wasn't it?
Yes, that was my most recent big finish. A lot of my other ones are pre-limitless.
Yep.
So you can call me old, but I started in seniors for a year.
You are almost officially nunk, as the young people would say. You've pretty much reached that status.
I mean, one of these days, hoping to be a dad, but not unk yet.
All right, so hopping into it here, it looks like Pedro has access to that secret box on turn 1, which is pretty good here. So,
yeah, and a great start for our active player. Gets the energy on Wellspring, which is very important because it means that they may not be in a position where they have to play down a Crispin to attack with Torrential Pump next turn. With the Monkey Dory active, there's not enough damage to knock it out. It only does 100 to the active and then 120 to the bench. But also, this hand is kind of dead. They did not search for a Noctowl, it appears, with Fan Call, or something is up on my end. I'm curious why they benched themselves out and have no consistency card.
Yeah, no, definitely. Some problem with these Fan Rotom decks is, like oftentimes you can get a very good board state on the first turn, but there's no really infrastructure built, for you to actually be able to consistently, set up your board state, for a powerful second turn of the game. I think that's, one of the big problems here is that you're pretty much in top deck mode. It's like if you draw into a singular Noctowl, you're going to be putting yourself in a pretty decent position. However, you're still in a very vulnerable situation right now. And it looks like Pedro, having access to that secret box on this first turn means that he's going to have an explosive start here. We already see the Buddy Buddy Puffin. Plus, having access to a draw supporter as well is really nice. On top of it, too, the fact that this Monkey Dory has 110 HP actually is very, very important, as the Wellspring's attack does 120 to the bench, but only 100 to the active, which is absolutely huge in this situation because it means that Stan is only going to be able to take one prize card with that Wellspring Mask's Torrential Pump.
We do see a flood of Zoruas coming down, some owned by N and some not. Are we going to get the... I want to see a full house. I want to see a 3-2 on the bench of Zoruas.
Yes, let's see the full house of Zoruas, because, yeah, they are technically entirely different Pokemon according to TPCI. So this is really cool. And there it is, 5 Zoruas on the board. Some people might think this is cheating, but they are technically different Pokemon. So this is really cool.
Flip it.
I can't really remember there being a Pokemon deck in years that has been able to do this, where like they're technically the same Pokemon, but they're not. So you can play like more than 5. Has there ever been a deck that has had something like this before? I can't remember.
The thing that's coming to my mind is like the Raichu break level X meme, where it's like Raichu could have a million of those evolutions, but I know that was never, that was more of a theoretical experiment.
So is it Weezing and Team Rocket's Weezing? That's a pretty cool one.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is not good.
Man, is this just going to be a draw and a pass? Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Now the big thing is,
now one thing that is worth mentioning. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Fine.
No, I was just gonna say that the non-ends Zoroark, the regular Zoroark, for the first attack does 30 damage times the amount of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which is pretty substantial when Area 0 Underdepths is your stadium. So for 1 Dark, could be very relevant knockouts on these EX Pokemon with a single prizer. Presently, only the Wellspring Ogerpon on the board, but we are not done here just yet. Still a lot of game to go.
We're looking for 5 Zoroark,
Ultra Ball
right?
top deck or a Noctowl top deck. Yeah.
I think that's the goal here. Let's get 5 Zoro first, then 5 Zoroark. That's gonna be content. That's gonna be
Pedro wanted to play Balatro, and so he brought his full house to Pokemon.
Yes. That is very, very true. And I believe this list does play the ends as well, right? I know it plays, I think, 2 to 3 Ignition Energy. So we'll actually be able to attack with that Night Joker. Or, actually, wait, no. You can't attack with Night Joker. You can attack with Mind Jack, however. Or the second attack, which is Foul Play. Yeah, Foul Play. That's when you can attack with. So I guess the goal of this deck is to use Foul Play against things you can one-shot stuff against with, I think, the Ignition Energy. It's like kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to find this list on Limitless. I do not know why. Is Pedro playing an Ends Reshiram? Like, does he have a way to attack with Ends Zoroark?
It literally should just say Pedro Eugenio Torres. It is under Zoroark. Under Zoroark, so... Let
me just filter by deck instead of by...
Yes, filter by deck. If you just go to metagame, you can easily find it. But anyways, we do see the Iron Bundle here, which is going to bring up that Zoroark, and now we're going to see that Noctowl come out finally. Now, you also do have access to the rare candy as well, which means that Pidgeot's Quick Search is going to happen here as well on this turn. So Stan finally getting something going. However, the problem in this situation is that Wellspring is an incredibly powerful card at the beginning of the game before the opponent sets up. However, Pedro Torres in this situation already has a board state, whereas something like the Wellspring doesn't necessarily do as much in these situations. So it's just not going to be as effective as it could be. Now, you could potentially try and piece together a Boss's Orders Torrential Pump play. However, just hitting into the active and then taking 1 prize card off the bench just isn't really doing enough in this situation right now.
Yeah, I think that it might be time for a sob. Pedro is only playing 1 Professor Turo, so might be a little bit hard to get out of the active if there was a case of a sob. Only 1's NPP up as well, but N's PP up only works on the bench. So I think that sob for a turn could allow you to maybe attack with a Flareon, but no, it's going to be the Leafeon, and there's actually just enough energy on board to take this knockout. 60 times the amount of energies. Oh, wait, no, it's not, because that's going to be 240, right?
I mean, if you're not able to get the...
Is there a third energy?
I think they're, I mean, there's
Oh,
Crispin,
you just,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
dumb. You use the second attack.
Yeah,
I
so
was
use
thinking
the
about the first
Crispin.
attack.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the second attack does do enough here in this situation. Give it, yeah,
Yeah.
be able to comfortably take the knockout here. And now one of the big questions for Pedro is, how do you deal with this Leafeon? You know, do you actually have a way to one-shot it? Now, you could potentially use something like the Ignition Energy on the Zoroark to use the Foul Play attack. However, those attacks on that Leafeon that you can actually copy are not necessarily dealing a whole lot of damage right now. So Pedro actually might run into a problem here where there's not an easy way to deal with this Leafeon. And that's, you know, sometimes one of the problems with the Zoroark deck is you don't necessarily have a ton of firepower in a lot of situations. And there's a potential that Stan is just going to be able to run over Pedro here with this Leafeon. On top of it too, they do have access to another Noctowl as well, so they're going to be able to expand the board. You're definitely going to want to get possibly a Terrapagos down or another Eevee as well, because I believe Pedro should be able to pretty easily two-shot this Leafeon, but it's not looking great here for Pedro, as I don't think there's an easy way to deal with this Pokemon right now.
Yeah, the good news for Pedro is that Leafeon not healing from itself does mean that you can two-shot it. The 100 damage that you heal on all of your benched Pokemon with the second attack on Leafeon, Mossagate, will not do healing on itself. However, you've got so many of your Pokemon set up that it's going to be really hard to find a one-shot. Even if a full bench was put down for Stan, that's still only 240 damage for Mind Jack. There's a single Defiance band that could let you hit 270,
Okay,
but at this point, why would you expend your bench right now? Like you're already swinging for knockouts. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more, and this is, you know, kind of a perfect situation. You don't necessarily need to do anything. Now, if you were going down to 2 prize cards, you can expand the bench. I think that's, you know, completely fine. So I think on the next turn, it's okay to expand. Oh, they're actually going after Hoothoot here, which means you actually don't need to expand your bench on the next turn, simply because you can go down to 2 prizes next turn, and Pedro's not going to be able to one-shot back in most situations here. So looks like Pedro, you know, trying to use this 1 prize card game, force Stan into an uneven prize trade. You know, one of the big things that, you know, top players, you know, try and do is they try and play a 7 prize card game. You know, force your opponent to take more prize cards than they actually want to do here. And Pedro is definitely recognizing the line here, and, you know, putting himself in the best position possible, you know, with the cards that he's given in the spot.
And Stan is only playing 1 boss, so he can't just search for 2 bosses and take two prize knockouts. If this boss takes a 2 prize knockout here, that is the last boss of the game. There is a counter catcher in the list, but a lot's going to have to happen for that counter catcher to be live. So maybe Pedro can put together enough single prize Pokemon to be able to make this work. Wellspring is still on the board though, so maybe that gets around some stuff.
I think what probably
looking pretty hard for Pedro.
Yeah, I think what Pedro probably wants to do in this situation is use a Gust Effect to bring up the Teal Mask and then, or the Teal Mask, the Wellspring, and use Mind Jack, because I think Mind Jack, is that enough to knock out that Wellspring here? Are you going to be able to hit for enough to KO it? Because if you can, then you go down to 2 prizes and you present a 1 prize attacker, and then Stan goes down to 1 prize card, and then the Defiance Band is activated to potentially finish off the game on that Leafeon. So Pedro in this situation really needs to find a way to get down to 2 prize cards this turn, and then look to use, for example, something like that Blood Moon. They might just use it in this situation here to go down to 2 prizes here. So it looks like Pedro is putting himself in a position.
This is a huge turn.
Yeah, huge.
This is 270 damage to knock out the Leafeon with the Defiance Band because Pedro is behind on prizes and the Iono to 2. Yes, your opponent has Quick Search in play, but still, you're going to need to get a lot to do 260 damage. Sparkling Crystal already used. Boss already used. This is the comeback that Pedro needed to win this game.
Yeah, this is the comeback here. We're going to see the Blood Moon KO. And I think the one thing that Pedro's going to have to figure out is, are you able to then, you know, rinse and repeat this strategy? You know, because you're going to be able to take a knockout here, but then you're going to need to get that Blood Moon or Saluna out of the active and then use it again. So that's going to be probably the main goal for him here. Now, this Iono, unfortunately for Pedro, did not do a whole lot. Looks like Stan was able to get a Noctowl and a Rare Candy, so that Noctowl obviously very, very important here. But Pedro giving himself the best chance he has to win this game with that, you know, I don't know, Blood Moon or Saluna play, and this is going to be a close game. Someone said he plays Turo. Ooh.
Lily's Clefairy is likely your only way to take a one-shot here. There are 2 Area Zeros in Stan's deck. With the Noctowl in your hand, you could get Nest Ball, Area Zero, and then Pidgeoff or something. It's going to be really close if he can get the right amount of Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So here we go. We see the big KO here from Pedro. Now, does Stan have any way to win the game this turn? That's the big question. Is Stan going to be able to put together some type of an attacker to be able to take these final 2 prizes this turn? I don't think Stan plays the cards to be able to do this because you're already down your Sparkling Crystal, which means something like the Wellspring plus a Boss's Orders is not going to happen. And I don't believe also there's a Blood Moon or Saluna, and Blood Moon doesn't actually even take a knockout here as well, as the Zoroark has 280 and that Blood Moon has 260 in the active. So this seems like a very tricky spot here for our player.
If you're Stan, you can effectively search your deck for any 3 cards you want because Noctowl can get an Ultra Ball for your other Noctowl. So any 3 cards, that could be Nest Ball for Lily's Clefairy, Crispin, Area Zero. Is that enough? Right now, that might be exactly enough if all of those cards are still available. Instead goes for Super Rod, Night Stretcher.
He's just taking the turn off here just to potentially load up Flareon next turn. I think that's what they're probably going for here. You don't want a Burning Charge into the active because then you give Pedro access to Monkey Dory, but are we going to see just an evolution and a pass to stall here?
So if there is a Turo, Defiance Band cannot, or it wouldn't take the knockout anyway because 2 prizes. Yeah. Man, I really want to see if there was enough energy in deck. I think I had the line, not to overspeak for the player because I'm not the one playing. I promised I probably missed something.
What were you trying to do? Attack with Terapagos?
No, so I think that so the first one, you could have gone Ultra Ball and Area Zero.
Yeah.
You Ultra Ball for the or you Ultra Ball for Noctowl, and then you get Lily's Clefairy Crispin.
Oh, yes, and you can do exactly 200 and
you have 7 Pokemon 80 on your bench, and
so
then
you max out 280. Yeah, that would have been enough. You're right.
I think it would have been. I don't know if the energies were in deck for it.
Yeah.
I really hate to be that guy that says that I think he missed it. It might not matter, but
Is this game? I think this is game. If Pedro has yeah, there's a Turo. Pedro's gonna, what a comeback.
Wait, he needs the energy.
Oh, he's got to have it. There's no way.
Yeah, he wouldn't be doing this if he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, the emotes.
Here's the other dark. Oh my goodness. It was looking so rough for Pedro, but Pedro going to be able to take this down with, I got to say, the coolest deck that I've seen so far, and the coolest deck I've seen in quite some time.
What a great
That was
game.
awesome to see. Yeah, no, shout out Pedro Torres for taking the W.
Man, I really want to know if Stan had it in the middle there. I think that it was very close. No matter what, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. A great game between both players. Really cool decks that we get to feature at 2-0. This is looking like one heck of a tournament.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of really interesting decks. That's like, I feel like one of the big things like that I love to see is I love to see, innovation, decks that, might not necessarily have, really gotten talked about, see a lot of success. And it looks like, Pedro is showing us probably one of the spiciest decks that we've seen in quite some time. And yeah, the regional and also international champion himself is advancing to 3-0. A great start for by far one of the best players in this tournament.
If you go to channel 8, it looks like we have a game that's still somewhere in the middle. Might not be for very long. It looks like there's 3 monkeys with a Jellicent active. I'm going to keep looking.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, let's take a look at that.
Let's see.
Oh, you do remove 30, then Turo to reset the bear? Yes. 30, then Turo reset the bear. Yeah.
Yeah, what a
helping
cool
out people
game.
In the chat. We're trying to figure out how that works. Yeah, so one of the unique things about the Monkey Dory is that if your Pokemon don't get one shot, it opens up a lot of really cool situations where you can use that damage, that the opponent put on you against them, which is really nice.
Yeah. And so much of the format has been about Monkey Dory. That's what the format is going to be remembered for. Moving that damage back and forth, not only healing your Pokemon, making them harder to get knocked out, but giving you the damage to knock out your opponent's Pokemon. That play would not have been possible if it wasn't for Monkey Dory. So really great line for Pedro to see, bringing himself to 3-0, and just some
Yeah.
just so excited. I'm having a hard time getting my sentences together.
Yeah, 100%. Someone said that was me playing really messed up turn 1 by not taking that Noctowl. Sadly, at the end, I was hoping he didn't have the Turo. Maybe should have passed there. Yeah, like honestly, in that situation, could you have ever like won the game with Clefairy? I know that Xander was, you know, kind of talking about that. On top of it too, maybe you could just sit a Flareon in the active and just attach to it and pass, because then there's, you know, physically not enough damage, you know, that, you know, could be created out of nowhere to be able to, you know, actually KO. So I think there were a couple of situations where things, you know, could have been done a little bit differently. But like in those situations, right, like when you're in that spot, you have to ask yourself, okay, if I pass, can I win the game the next turn? And if the answer is yes in that spot, you should just pass, because you're playing up against a Zoroark deck that is literally built to thin lots of bad cards out of the deck. So it becomes increasingly you know, likely that Pedro would have that. So that's, you know, kind
and
of,
all of this to be said, can't say that we're very well prepared for the end Zoroark
exactly
matchup. So
right.
their potential outcome of what they could have done is a little bit different than what we might think.
Exactly.
Like we're getting the benefit of looking at the lists and kind of getting to understand it. And I know that
we have a
this is
cheat
an open
sheet,
list
right,
tournament.
Xander?
Yeah, it's different when you play. So to try to know your deck and to play it at the same time, I'm just glad we had a very cool game.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. That was, you know, great to watch there.
Had to pull up the list to see if he has a switch in Turo.
Yeah. I mean, like one of like the unique things is that I like seeing like these surprise decks, because it's really interesting to see how players operate against them and just, you know, kind of seeing their thought processes, you know, like all the surprises and stuff, you know, like watching the meta decks is great, but, you know, being able to see some of the more unique stuff like that is, you know, really, really entertaining. I mean, we saw, I believe, the last round, Miraidon versus, you know, Holobox, right? So there have been a lot of, you know, different decks that have been, you know, kind of, I would say, on the outskirts, you know, kind of looking in. And, you know, I hope that some of them see a lot of success at this tournament, because, yeah, I mean, we got over 1,500 players. You know, it'd be definitely cool to see, you know, like that Flareon, kind of just like Terrabox hybrid deck see success, but especially, you know, like Pedro's deck as well, that we've really never seen before. Like, I've never even seen a variant of this deck. This is something that's, you know, completely off the wall. So it's very, very cool to see something that I don't think a whole lot of people have thought about see success.
And who knows what people have in the tank for Worlds this year. This format could be wide open. Every year that we get a new set before Worlds, it feels like something new can expand out of nowhere. So gonna have a great time around this time next month in Anaheim, California.
100%.
I do have to give you your 7 o'clock fraud report that Gardevoir Jellicent is still on the fraud watch at 38%.
Oh, it's still on the
rate.
fraud watch? Let's take a look here. Let me get over to the spectator and let's go over.
I think that if Gardevoir's probably on the fraud warning right now, or at least this Gardevoir Jellicent deck, like, you know how there's a tornado watch and a tornado warning. I think that the fraud warning might be in store for Gardevoir Jellicent. Down a whole 9 match points on regular Gardevoir.
Yeah, this is definitely a slow start for Jellicent. I think that, you know, one of the things is people are overcompensating right now for Jellicent. So I think that Jellicent right now at the very beginning of the format is not going to necessarily see a whole lot of success, simply because everyone is pretty much ready for it. I mean, for example, there are plenty of Golden Go lists that are playing 3 to 4 bosses orders and an Iron Bundle. The amount of stuff that they're playing is insane for that matchup, specifically to say, all right, if I play up against any type of Jellicent deck, I'm going to be ready for it. And I think that's why we're seeing this, you know, variant of Gardevoir not see a whole lot of success. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see one make it into top cut, but I think that, you know, things like the Drifloon Bravery Charm, cards that are a little bit more unexpected, I think have a lot more potential right now. So I think that's the number one thing that we're seeing. Now, maybe over the next, you know, month or two, you know, once we see what happens at the World Championships, maybe heading into, let's say, the Pittsburgh Regional Championships, we see people not really prepare for Jellicent because they think it's, you know, not going to be very popular, and then the deck sees a bunch of success because, you know, maybe Golden Go cuts back down to 1 or 2 bosses orders, right? So I think that's potentially what we're going to see right now. It's, you know, kind of going through the stages of you know, growth, and I think it's going to take some time. But I think that, you know, Jellicent, such a powerful card. I just don't know if right now is the correct time for it.
Yeah, it seems like if they're able to, what I'm imagining is happening in these games is if people are able to get that early bundle or that early boss to get that turn of items that they need, that disruption may not be good enough. You can't bundle around Itchy Pollen. You can't boss around Itchy Pollen. You're stuck. And so the time that you think that you're getting from Jellicent just for the 80 or 160 damage may not be coming up in full effect.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm excited to
We
see
do have one at 3-0 though, so I'd be
there's one
interested.
at 3-0.
Let's take a peek at this list. Anything out of the ordinary? They are playing a Drifloon with no Bravery Charm. Not saying that's good or bad, just acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Seeker Box, Evo, and Devo.
Okay.
Looks pretty straightforward.
Look like Grimmsnarl, 55%. Really seeing a lot of success. Like, once again, I said like last round, kind of surprising because of how hostile the meta kind of feels towards it right now. So really, really cool to see this deck see a lot of success right now. Looks like there's plenty of players who are doing well with it. I guess I'll continue scrolling down while you're looking at that Charizard. I know that's a deck that, you know, you were happy to see doing well last round, you know, continuing its role. I mean, both the variants of Charizard. It seems like Dragapult Charizard has kind of came down to earth a little bit. However, Charizard Pidgeot is absolutely soaring. 123 wins, 95 losses. Yeah, showing that.
My goat Charizard.
Yeah, showing that with, you know, access to the Chi-Yu, your matchup against Golden Go is actually pretty favored. So I think that with the rise of Golden Go, we're going to see that rise of Charizard Pidgeot. So very cool to see a deck that kind of fell off a couple of months ago and was pretty much considered dead in the standard format. And then Gabriel Fernandez, who is a senior world champion and has won what, like 6 or 7 events this year, showed up to the North American International Championships with a Charizard Pidgeot build and said, hey, you guys are disrespecting this deck. Even though there's going to be a ton of Grimmsnarl and a ton of Dragapult, I'm one of the best players in the world, and I have a deck that I think is broken, and they were able to win the North American International Championships with it. And I think that really gave people the confidence to kind of go back to Charizard and say, okay, yes, there is no 4 Seal Stone. Yes, there is no, let's say, Lumineon V, Radiant Charizard as well. But Charizard itself just wins games. Sometimes you get a Charizard up and you punch the active and there's nothing the opponent can do. And yeah, we're seeing Charizard return to the top of the metagame.
That 60 that Gabriel played has been the 60 that I've been grinding online until the release of Black Bolt and White Flare. Went to a couple league challenges with it as well and have been very impressed with it. Your worst enemy is just Mind Bend. Like, your deck is really good except Mind Bend. You have the Turo, but you have a pretty low energy count. So like a crucial Mind Bend on the right turn can mess up your Charizard, but you have a fair amount of other stuff. The Chi-Yu to attack with early. I've even attacked with Pidgeot a handful of times too, just to kind of get an early punch in. Max Belt is a very crucial card as well. Thank you for people in the chat pointing that out, giving you the ability to knock out a Dragapult when they've taken 3 prizes. Really can surprise them out of nowhere. Even if they know that you have it, it's a really hard thing to play around because your opponent has to take prize cards to win.
100%. Yeah, no, definitely. I have been on the receiving end of a max bout KO into I have no way to hit
so
330. Yeah, like I think I was playing I think it was like the Tord build of like Pure Pult, and they got a Zard up. They slapped on the max belt. They used the Monkey Dory, and they KO'd my Dragapult pretty early in the game. And I just sat there, and I was like, I literally cannot deal with this Pokemon in any circumstances. And yeah, they just completely swept me. So that was one thing that I noticed for sure. So.
Yeah, that's so tough. Because especially when you can't rid of it, you can't get rid of it. They're just gonna do it again.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Someone said, "Well, I remembered finals of a cup. I prized 2 Zards back in the day."
10 matches left.
Yeah.
Oof.
Having to take all 6 prize cards with Pidgeot and Radzard. Yes, there were just some games where like you didn't even need to attack with Charizard very often. Sometimes Radzard into like Super Odd back the Radzard, hit again. Like there have been some games with Charizard where the games just look absolutely horrible, but you had so many powerful cards, you know, to be able to come back. And yes, you don't have some of those powerful cards anymore. However, I think Pokemon recently has actually done a pretty good job at balancing the game and making sure there's not like any, you know, like grossly overpowered cards. So I think that even though Charizard lost a lot of other decks lost quite a few powerful cards as well. So yeah. Someone said against Bolt, you basically played Radzard Turbo. Yeah, sometimes you just bench Radzard turn 1 and attach an energy to it. That was completely acceptable in a lot of situations. Yes.
Yeah.
Someone said, yeah, Zorak of Pedro Torres, 3-0. Exactly. Yeah, Pedro Torres is 3-0. We just watched their game. Probably the coolest deck that we've seen so far. I'm really excited to see how Pedro is able to do against, I would say just like some of the behemoths of the format. Are you going to be able to take down the Grimmsnarls? Are you going to be able to take down the Dragapults and the Gardevoirs of the world? That's what I'm personally really excited to see. And I think that, seeing that Zorak deck with more than 4 Zoraks and more than 4 Zors is one of the really, really cool things. So yeah, we got a minute left until the next round here. I guess we got 23 seconds, probably a couple minutes left. Just a few more games are completing. Looks like almost all of them have finished. Just 6 out of 675 matches. So still a lot of players playing. We started with 737 tables, so down to 675, but still got the majority of players playing. So yeah, exciting to see. For anyone that does not know how the tournament structure works, we have 8 Swiss rounds, and then players with 18 or more match points advance to the second phase. So if you've been to a regional championship, it looks exactly the same, except we're playing best of 1 until the top cut, and then phase 2, 4 Swiss rounds, exactly the same that you would see at a regional championship with 8 and 4 split. And then we have an asymmetrical top cut with players with 30 or more match points, so specifically 10-2. Make it into the asymmetrical, and then a top cut as well. So it's gonna be really exciting. We still got a long ways to go, but a lot of good content and a lot of stuff I'm excited to see right now. So
just to remind people, this is not your everyday online tournament. We have real cash money on the line for top 8, $350 for first place. That's more than I got for top 4ing a regional a decade ago.
Yeah.
A real regional.
That's, pretty crazy to say, back in the day. And yes, this prize pool was largely contributed by a couple of fantastic people. First off, shout out to FCBC Armor for supporting some of the prize pool, jinkiesco.com, as well a card store. If you're interested in buying product, make sure to go check them out. And then, shout out to, some like the smaller donations as well, crowdfunding this event. I put some of my own money into it as well. And, being able to provide a community aspect style of tournament was something that I was kind of thinking about a couple months ago. I was just, sitting in bed and I was like, I kind of want to run a really cool series for the Pokemon community, and this has admittedly blown away all expectations. Over 1,500 players, the biggest Pokemon TCG online tournament we have ever seen. This actually surpasses some of the COVID tournaments back in 2020 when the season shut down. Limitless ran 4 Limitless online series, and the most that they ever got was 1,300. So to see us break that and officially say that the Smart Series is the biggest online tournament in the history of the Pokemon TCG is pretty cool in my opinion, and I'm super happy that we can provide a free tournament for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, thanks for all the support as always. We appreciate it, and shout out to Xander as well for casting with me, and giving someone to yap about Pokemon with.
Yeah. Gonna answer a couple questions that I see from chat. Cody, 30 points, 10 and 2 minimum is a sim. So once you get 10 points or 10 wins, you should certainly be locked for that asymmetric cut. And then T-Bone Time 2004, your question was definitely a little bit answered with what Gabe and I were just talking about. But to have this many people playing Pokemon from the comfort of their own houses is awesome. Regionals are very great, but they are occasionally a barrier to entry, especially like I know whenever I was younger that I had a really hard time convincing my parents to take me to Pokemon events. I didn't have a job, so anything that I went to was either through them or the generosity of other people who said that they would take me as like a 16-year-old without a car to a tournament. Yep. And so having this many people play, I've been looking at some online results recently for, I've been working on Worlds decks for different years of Pokemon, and I was going back through the COVID stuff. Gabriel Fernandez was winning those tournaments just like he was winning tournaments now, and he was going to be at least 2 to 3 years younger then. It's just crazy how many like good players can lock in on these tournaments and show results over time. We do have round 4 pairings up, not to fully interject.
No, totally.
Yes, fine. So we have a Golden Go that's 3-0 on stream channel 2.
Let's do that. Want to do that?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
Yeah,
just kind of skimming through. Yeah. The Yan Mega is 2-1. They are in a stream channel as well. So you want the 3-0 Golden Go or the 2-1 Yan Mega?
Let's do the 3-0 this time, and then if they win to 3-1, we'll do them next. Let's do that.
All right.
Let's do it. Yeah. All right, looks like we're hopping into it here. We'll be probably a couple minutes until they get it set up. One of the things that I actually wanted to mention is online tournaments are a fantastic way to practice. One of the big
They
things
are.
that made me a better player was playing in online tournaments. So many of the best players that you see playing competitive Pokemon right now, back in 2020, back in 2021, absolutely grinded online tournaments. Like myself, Caleb Rogerson, Andrew Hedrick as well. We were kind of that group of players who weren't necessarily super known heading into COVID, but played in online tournaments literally nonstop. You know, like I remember
Yeah.
sitting and playing in some online tournaments at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Sometimes I'd stay up to like 5 or 6 a.m. and just grind online events. So it's an incredible way to actually be able to get quality practice in. And like these events are giving people kind of like a regional experience on, having to play lots of rounds, having that stamina and things like that to be able to get through an entire tournament.
Not to this is table 84 on Limitless if you're looking to pull up these lists. This matchup might be a little bit on the one-sided side. Cursive is on Ethan's Typhlosion. Cody does have the Scizor, so maybe we should still stick around just to see if he's able to make anything out of this. This matchup is one of the ones that you are looking to hit as the Ethan's Typhlosion deck. We've not seen it on coverage yet, but a great start for both players, getting lots of Pokemon down on turn 1.
Yeah. 100% here. Yeah, we're going to see that Arvin here going to be probably just trying to set up the Golden Goes. You're going to need to get down that Scyther, though. Like, really, the only way you're going to win is be able to present a Scyther, take a knockout. Doesn't even look like they have it. It might be prized. And then take a knockout and just try and hope that they're not able to set up multiple Golden Go or multiple Typhlosions, not Golden Goes. And if they aren't, then you can maybe catch back up. But yeah, the prize trade is very, very difficult for sure for this Golden Go player. But we'll see.
And one extra hard thing is that they can evolve out of their abilities. You may get to a point that there's not enough abilities in play for the Scizor to take the knockout. The damage is based off the amount of abilities that your opponent has in play. So Quilava has an ability, but Typhlosion does not. So your opponent needs 4 abilities in play for the Scizor to be able to knock out the Typhlosion. So definitely a little bit of a bummer that our active player does not have that early.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we're going to see the KO here. Now, at this point, I feel like the Golden Go player just kind of has to hold their breath that we don't see Rare Candy Typhlosion, because if we see the Rare Candy Typhlosion plus a couple Quilavas, we're going to be in a pretty difficult situation. However, if that doesn't happen here, then I do think Golden Go has a potential to get back in this game. But if they get up, let's say triple Quilava, it's definitely going to look pretty ominous here. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, we may be going to that Yan Mega match faster than we think.
Yeah, which, it's a cool deck as well, yeah. There's the Ethan's Adventure, and pretty much the Ethan's Adventure chain. How this deck likes to work is you like to search your deck for multiple Ethan's Adventures, get those in the discard pile, but they actually have a pretty powerful effect as well, which allows you to search your deck for Pokemon and also energies too, which, makes this deck flow really, really nicely. So there's multiple usage. Like you want
the secret box comes down. This is usually where bad news spells. Anytime that you're able to search your deck for 4 cards, you can find some disgusting combos. The only good news for our active Golden Go player is that the supporter's already been used, so he can't just get Rare Candy Ethans right now. However, I'm sure that there is some kind of way to make something similar happen.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. We will see here. Oh,
no, it does look like it's just going to be a TM Evo turn.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see the TM Evolution here coming out. Just kind of playing it slow. But that's actually one of the really important things to understand when you're playing Pokemon is when you're playing against a really favored matchup, don't take unnecessary risks. You don't really need to. Now, looking at the Golden Go's perspective, you're going to have to really try and find, let's say, a boss's orders, play, really aggressively. And yes, it can sometimes backfire, but you have to take those risks. But when it comes to the Typhlosion, just take it slow. You're already favored. If you're able to set up and streamline 3 attacks, you're gonna win the game. And I think that's really smart. Just saying, okay, yes, if you find the boss's orders, that's okay. Still, I'm putting myself in a really, really good position to be able to win this game in just 3 attacks.
Would have just the most minimal different sequencing. Maybe would have liked to see him use the active one
Yeah,
first in case he
sure.
decided that he wanted to air balloon retreat. That probably wasn't going to come up, but if you were looking for a small area of improvement, if Golden Go is something you're interested in, you might, if you have the air balloon in hand, you may want to get that extra card out of the deal to see what comes up later. Not going to be able to boss's orders this turn, which is a huge bummer. Is going to get the E-Surge Pro to be able to thin out the deck, but this Golden Go is a sitting duck in the active spot.
I feel like I got that Scyther at some point too, right? I feel like you're just you're gonna
Yeah.
have to try and push a Scissor through the. I guess the problem is Scissor actually doesn't even do a whole lot of damage right now. How much is it doing? Is it doing enough to
No, I
knock
think
out? Is it doing 180
think that
exactly?
the turn you would have wanted to use the Scizor was
this
likely
turn.
last turn.
Or even
Or
this
this,
turn
like
as
get
well.
this, get the Scyther down so you
Yeah.
can use the Scizor this turn. You're definitely going to be losing value on the Scizor over time.
100%. Yeah. No, I definitely think that this is kind of a hold your breath moment. Hope they don't have fire energy, but they should have fire energy guaranteed because they can just use the bonded by the journey ability, search for that Ethans, and then just use the Ethans to be able to kind of reset the board state here and get everything that you need. So yeah. Not getting the Scyther down is really, really bad here in this situation. And at this point, maybe you hope that all the other Ethans are prized and they're not able to find an energy. You have to hope for something, right? It's like, yes, you do have a 2 prize card lead, but that prize card lead is going to completely vanish right here with that Typhlosion.
And I almost would have been interested in seeing him not play the Ethans, because the way you lose this game is to whiff a fire energy at this point, and you already have 2 Ethans in your discard pile, so you had the knockout on the Golden Go without playing this Ethans. Evolving into this Typhlosion actually gives you more chances to brick, because if you don't draw into an energy off of like a weird Iono or something, then that could be your downfall. There is only one Iono in Cody's list, our active player, but just the small things like that could be the difference between winning and losing the game at a certain point.
Yeah, and we're going to see that flip the script here. Now, you have a Nest Ball, so it should be pretty obvious to bench the Scyther or use something like the Buddy Puffin as well. So finally gets it down here, but this would also be the turn where you would want to use it because you'd want to force a boss's orders earlier rather than later in the game when they're able to thin their deck out. So this like would have been a turn where like if you could use the Scyther to like go into Scissor then and then just like take a knockout of any sort, then great, because that would force probably the Typhlosion player to find a Gust Effect, but now they don't need a Gust Effect this turn. They can thin their deck out once again, and then when the Scissor comes out on the next turn, they're probably going to have only a 10 to 15 card deck, and it's so likely they have Boss's Orders this next turn. So almost feels like a little bit too late, kind of realizing that you need that card down. However, there is one potential good thing going for this Golden Go player, is that there is no Quilava on the bench. So potentially, if you knock out this Typhlosion and then Cursive is not able to get another Quilava, you then knock out the other Typhlosion and then just completely bank that there's no way they can get another Typhlosion. And, kind of like we stated a couple hours ago, the biggest problem with this Typhlosion deck is sometimes it just stalls out in certain situations. Hypothetically, it's great, but maybe we'll see a little bit of that here where they aren't able to find another piece. But very good chance with such a big hand.
Did search for Typhlosion Fire with the last Ethan, so we don't know of a known Quilava in their hand. Obviously, they could have had one. They are only playing. Oh no, they are playing the 4 Quilava. They've started doing this weird thing on Limitless where they do Cyndaquil, Typhlosion, Quilava in the order. I guess it's alphabetical instead of like by evolution. Not vibing with it. So he does play the full 4 Quilava. For some reason, I thought he played 3, but does get it down. Sorry for my ramblings, and is able to take the knockout. This is looking really tough for Cody.
Does
Not
Scissor
the
even
matchup
do
you
enough
wanna
damage
see.
here? Yes, right? It does 180. Isn't it 60 times?
No, it's 10 plus 50, so not
It's
even. You
enough.
would, yeah.
Oh gosh. So your only
Okay.
play here becomes what? KO Quilava?
So
Scissor?
Countercatcher KO Quilava is pretty good here. You likely need to do this in combination with AI Ono.
Yeah. Or just pray that there's magically no Boss's Orders in a 9-card hand that's been slowly. Oh, there's Iono, but there's
Okay.
got a chance here. Oh, do
Okay.
they see the play? Yes, they see the play. I always love it when they see like these plays that like a lot of people like wouldn't make. But let's see, what are they?
You've got a Countercatcher
Counter
the Quilava.
Yeah. Actually has a shot at winning this game. If the Goldango player is able to take this. Oh,
Wait, no, 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 no.
Oh no!
Yeah, I
They
mean,
didn't. Oh no!
I was a
What are they doing? No!
I mean,
Oh boy! Oh, what do they do now? I actually felt like they had a real chance to win this game. Now, unless there's no boss's orders in this Typhlosion deck, I think if you go Iono to 2 and punch KO, you're in this game because you force them to find a Cyndaquil and then the next turn find Rare Candy Typhlosion. I actually think Iono might have put them in a favored spot to win this game. And
yeah,
there's the boss's orders. Oh my gosh.
Tough.
I think they had an out.
Maybe if you're Cody, you're worried about putting all these cards to the bottom of your deck, but
Sure.
you do have the Genesect to shuffle your deck on board in Pokemon. Even if you have no Pokemon to search out of your deck, you are able to use Genesect's ability just to shuffle your deck. So if you put a bunch of cards on the bottom of your deck, but you're looking to redraw them, you can play your Iono, shuffle your deck, and then use any of your draw effects. But Ethan's Typhlosion will be taking this one, going to 4-0. I know that's one of the decks that people are most excited to see. And actually, funny enough, this Ethan's player has beaten 3 Goldengos in back-to-back rounds to get to where they are. So definitely capitalizing on their choice in this metagame.
Yeah, I think that people realized, hey, Goldengo is absolutely dominating. We're going to play literally the best counter to the deck. And I think that's, exactly what happened there, where it's just like, they came prepared, and I think Typhlosion made a pretty decent play. Now, your Gardevoir matchups, your Dragapult matchups, they're all very, very shaky. But if you're able to do good enough into those and hit enough Goldengos to kind of give yourself a little bit of a cushion heading into the rest of the matchups, you got a shot at going 10-2. And, that's enough to make it into top cut here. So
I just watched your, I've got the stream up as well, just so I can see the chats, and I saw your live stream reaction to when he didn't play the
yes. I was like, no, what is happening? I mean, I think they were in a good spot then, because you put them to 2, they only have access to Dracloak, and then I don't know if the Typhlosion player had Rare Candy in the list. Did they have Candy?
They had 1, but
okay.
the thing that's important is you couldn't play Ethan's there. If you played Ethan's, you couldn't play Boss. So you can play Ethan's, knock out the active Scizor, then Goldengo knocks you out, and you still need the same Candy Typhlosion that you did previously. Not necessarily saying that it's a guaranteed line, but I think that putting your opponent to the 2 cards there would have been the chance to win. Either way, I love that we're seeing excited games. Even if there's minuscule misplays here and there, it's great content. We're having a blast here.
Yeah,
and you've got, I don't know if you've taken a look, between YouTube and Twitch, I think we've had almost close to 350 viewers combined between both.
Sitting around 300, about 150-ish on each. So yeah, thanks for coming out, showing support, for the tournament. I know that, there's a lot of people that are streaming right now. So we appreciate you guys, tuning in to the main portion of the stream, showing off as many cool decks and stuff, as we possibly can. I'm trying to get top players in here and there. We've already seen Pedro Torres and also Benny Billinger. So plenty of, very successful players, that we're watching, but we're also, giving the opportunity for some of these players who might not necessarily have a very big name to show their skills, in a absolutely ginormous tournament. So yeah, it's all good here. We love, doing this, and yeah, no, it's been very, very successful. We had a little bit of a bump at the beginning, but things have been smooth sailing ever since then. We are, getting through the rounds, heading into round 5 here very shortly, and then we just got 3 more rounds until the phase 2. So yeah, no, looking forward to it. A pretty diverse metagame, lots of cool things are showing up, and I'm excited to see what ends up taking down this tournament and the $350 first place cash prize.
Yes, someone in chat asked, how much does the winner get? $350 for first, $250 for second, $100 for third and fourth, and $50 for 5th through 8th. Not your mom's online tournament for sure. Really great that we've
There's no pizza or stuff that we're giving out like some of the other events in the past. Remember those?
Yeah. No, no air fryer like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament.
Yes, no air fryer like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament.
While we've got a little bit of a gap, tomorrow is a exciting Pokemon day as we have a Pokemon Presents. Is there anything specific
Pokemon
that you
Presents.
are excited to hear about? It's a big one.
Every time that I get excited for Pokemon Presents, they don't talk enough about the TCG, and I'm just kind of like, I leave myself open to being surprised. I hope they do something like maybe they'll give us more information on worlds. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they give us a new generation. I know it's been kind of the speculation is like we've gone a couple years without a new generation. I think we've gone about 3.5 years now since Scarlet and Violet came out.
Is that
So
true?
I
No
actually no,
way.
I think it's 3. Yeah, it's 3.5 years. Yeah, we haven't had. Oh wait, no, I think it's.
Holy goodness.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I think it's
November
about
22. My gosh.
yeah, I think that's when
Wow.
it came out. I remember that. Yes, I remember flying to Sao Paulo, Brazil for LAIC 2022, and I remember playing a little bit of Scarlet and Violet before I passed out. So I vividly
That's
remember when it
awesome.
came out because I got it then. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see if there's a new generation. I think that maybe they'll redo one of the older games as well. I think they've really tried not to do like a new generation like every other year because I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of running out of like some ideas. So maybe they're trying to like kind of spread it out, make, faithful, like remakes and stuff. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, another remake. Maybe they make, Black and White's, 3 or something like that, right? Like I have absolutely just like no idea,
Yeah.
but I know they've been working on
Pokemon Gray.
Yeah,
Just
Pokemon Gray.
a decade late.
Yes, yes.
I can't wait for more Pokemon Cafe remix news, all the Pokemon Sleep news.
More Pokemon.
Give me some Pokemon Masters EX.
Maybe Pokemon Go stuff. Maybe they're doing more. I don't know.
They're doing Latios and Latios almost certainly for Unite. Thank you, Jay Belanti52 for the 4-month sub on Twitch. Got to shout those people out supporting Gabe, who's able to support these tournaments.
Yeah, thank you. The best way to support these events, is to do things like that, or just hanging around and lurking. That's the best way to support these events. And yeah, it makes me able to.
Somebody asks what time the Pokemon Present is, and that's a great question because I want to know it too. It is at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern.
It's always at 6.
Do the calculation for your own time. Awesome for me because I start work at 8 o'clock Central Time, and it's at 8 o'clock Central Time. So, yeah.
You put an AirPod in and try and listen while it's going on and stuff like that. Yeah. I was
well, luckily YouTube is not blocked, so on my job, so I can just kind of have it up while I do some stuff.
Good.
While we have some time, the metagame is centralizing a little bit closer to the mean. Golden Go at 52, Raging Bolt even. Grimmsnarl still at 56% win rate if you round up, which is nuts. Pulsard at 50, Gardevoir Jellicent at 40, Zard Pidgeot at 53, regular Guardy at 50. Dragapult and Crustle sitting at 50, Ethan's at 52. So definitely as these rounds are going on, we're getting a little bit closer to the mean on decks doing well. Grimmsnarl being the huge outlier at 56%. You have any thoughts about that looking at this format?
On just like Grimmsnarl in general?
Yeah, I mean, Grimmsnarl Frostlass 56% win rate. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I think it took time for players to actually figure out like the right way to play the list. I think, at the North American International Championships, a lot of people had unoptimal lists. But I think, people started to see success online with it. I mean, for example, I believe Nathan Osterkatz won the very first Smart Series. It had like 400 or 500 players. I think they most notably didn't play Badu and had access, to the Tatsuguri for that little boost of consistency. So I think that was, one of the first events where people were like, okay, this is, possibly one of the best, if not the best ways to play the deck. So I think people are just kind of figuring out, how the deck works, like the counts, how many Grimmsnarl you should play, how many consistency cards and things, you should be playing as well. And I think that's a big reason as to why we've seen the deck really start to see a lot of success online. Because it didn't do exceptionally well at NAIC. I believe there was one in top 8. Piper Lapine made top 8. However, it wasn't necessarily dominating, decks like Gardevoir saw, I think, more success overall. So I think, people kind of finally figured it out. I think that it's kind of surprising to see such a hostile metagame for the deck, and the deck still seeing success because it's just such a fundamentally powerful deck. It's, kind of similar to Dragapult in a way, where it's able to close the gap in matchups that might be considered statistically unfavored, simply because it has so many power comeback plays, that it's able to accomplish, right? I think that's something that's, really, really important and like what the deck is able to do. So I think it's just fundamentally a great deck, has a lot of skill expression too, and it doesn't surprise me to see it seeing, this much success, but in this hostile metagame, it's definitely something to take note of because it's, still seeing plenty of success right now. Zard knocked out 77. Whoa, Zard knocked out is up to 77. Well, I mean, there's probably not a whole lot of players playing it, right?
No, I remember looking at it earlier. It was pretty far down in terms of popularity. Yeah, 7-2 with 3 players. 3-0-2-1-2-1 going into this round.
Gotcha. Okay.
And one of them did move to 4-0. I do not know if they are in a stream channel, but
yeah, Charizard. I think just Charizard in general is doing really well. I mean, let's take a look at Charizard Dusknoir. I mean, 66 and 47, 58%. Charizard Pidgeot, 53%. It's just simply the Goldengo effect is just driving this deck. You know, you take close matchups against a lot of the other top decks in the format, but when you're doing great against, you know, Goldengo, it really, really helps. I feel like this deck's chances, especially with access to that Chi-Yu. So that's one thing that's really important for the deck.
And one thing I've seen recently that's been pretty neat technology is if you were concerned about Jellicent, which maybe you might not need to be after its 40% win rate today, but let's suppose that you are concerned about Jellicent, Fluttermane turns off Jellicent and gets you your abilities back, and you can do some like rescue board, retreat stuff to get out of the active. So if you need your items during your turn, you can use Fluttermane as a pivot, get your items by pushing it active, and then from there, be able to do all your stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, that's a pretty good combination you can pull off here. Looks like, let's see if anything in the chats. Streamer's buffering, is that me? I have no idea, Char. I would try and reload it. It says it's fine on my end. That's actually one thing I noticed. Sometimes when you stream really, really long, sometimes it can kind of like buffer for a few minutes and then it goes back to normal. It should be fine on YouTube. That's always one thing I've noticed. For some reason, I've been like struggling with this thing on Twitch recently where it's like it starts buffering on Twitch, but it's completely fine on YouTube. So no idea.
Yeah, usually for myself, I like watching live streams on YouTube because you can rewind. And so if you like walk away from the stream for a minute, you can still like catch up to where you're at.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I get spammed way less with ads on YouTube, but definitely worth. Huh?
Oh no. I was just reading. Someone said Twitch is working fine now. All right, that's good.
Okay, great.
Happy to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get a snack real quick.
Yeah, take your time, dude. Yeah, 100%.
Break.
Yeah, take your time. Twitch working fine now. That is good. Anyways, we'll be hopping into the next round here very shortly. Just finishing up. Really agree. YouTube streams don't buffer as much as Twitch. Yeah, it's very strange. I don't know why YouTube is like that, or like just like why YouTube in general is just completely better. But for some reason it buffers on Twitch a lot, but I literally never have issues on YouTube. Like a couple weeks ago, my stream would literally crash on Twitch, but on YouTube it wouldn't crash. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I have almost gigabit internet. So like there's no excuse like for the stream to behave like that, right? But Twitch is weird. Pedro lost. Oh no, Pedro lost, unfortunately. Yeah, it keeps lagging and cutting out now again. Yeah, just go to YouTube if it doesn't. If you're having problems with it, just go to YouTube. Or just like change your video settings. Higher bitrate capacity, I think. Well, that's the thing. It's like even like Twitch has like does not have a great like capacity just in general. It's actually really weird. YouTube like has never an issue, like never. Like I don't think my it just like doesn't have problems, but Twitch in general has like, I guess I don't know if it's more sensitive or like what, but 3-1 with Yamega. All right, we'll be streaming you next. We got you next. The good old Yamega player. Cyrus Davis 04. But they probably just didn't show up. Can YouTube see us just fine? Is YouTube good? Should be good. We're back. Fraud format? How's it a fraud format, bro?
All right, I am back with a freshly popped bag of microwave popcorn.
Awesome.
We are good. Oh yeah,
we're
good to go.
I was taking a look at players, and Gino Lombardi went 1-3, so they decided to make a comeback. I know that Mahone's been working on a really in-depth video on him. I don't know if you know about this, but he was talking about it, right? So cool to see him play, actually.
Yeah. I remember hearing about this at NAIC, but I don't know much else.
Yes. Shout out to Mint Mermaid as well for the subs. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well.
DJ.
Yes, CJ Rodriguez, the GOAT.
And gifted a sub, so thank you for that as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the support as always. I got a couple minutes until the next round here. We still got plenty of players here. We got the Yamega next round. That was the one that we're going to do. They did end up winning, so we will be watching the 3-1 Yamega. So, yeah, looking forward to it. No sound? What? How is there no sound?
For anybody?
Muted, good sir? Definitely not muted.
We've had... Yeah, I was going to say, we've had sound all night, so it might be a local issue.
Oh, you're not wrong. It is.
Oh, you were muted?
But can people on YouTube hear me?
YouTube says they're good.
My guy Smart Coach Tournament, I appreciate it. 4 feels pretty nice. Dude, I cannot stress how much I hate Twitch. I hate this garbage platform. You can hear me? Yeah, YouTube's never an issue. YouTube is always great. We're here on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is like amazing. But yeah, Twitch, I know Azul stream crashes sometimes on Twitch too. It like makes absolutely no sense.
Clicking through the 4-0 decks, there is a lot of Charizard, Pulsar, and regular Zard. There's also a Crustle at 4-0. There's a straight Dragapult. I'm just going to click every 4-0 deck just to see what we've got going on so far.
So just playing up on sound, that makes no sense. I don't know how this is. I don't know how that happens. They just hate us.
Pedro did lose to a different Flareon this round, so he is 3-1 now.
Let me fix this.
No, you're good. I'll keep chat entertained.
Yeah.
There's a Terra box that's 4-0. Oh wait, no, it's not. It's like Ogre Pawns, but there is no Oh wow, this really is Turbo Wellspring. It's like it's Ogre's Mask, Teal Mask. Oh wow. Okay, we should find this person. Wait up a second.
All right, let's see.
Sorry, I just saw your message. This is probably going to be my last one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Depending on when my wife goes to bed and how long you're on for, I might be able to jump in for a little bit after. But I did start this as soon as I got off work. So.
Oh, yeah, I got something. No worries.
Mario Kart World doesn't play itself, so I think that's what I'm being summoned for.
I have not played it. I know it was like very controversial. Some people really liked it and some people didn't. Some people were like, oh, this is amazing. Some people were like, oh, this sucks. Like, it's just like a money grab. Is it significantly different? I'd love to know.
I think that it's a blast, and I think it is very fun. I do believe that the intermissions are like not great, but knockout tours are awesome, and the tricking system is really cool with the rail grinds and the wall rides and stuff. A lot of neat stuff you can do. In terms of being like a Mario Kart that you play with your friends at a party, not a whole lot is different, but if you're wanting to like learn the new tricks and stuff, it's very cool. People in Okay, some people on YouTube were saying that you were muted on Twitch again, but nobody on Twitch is saying
No, they're
that.
coming over from Twitch and saying I'm mute. Yeah, like they're saying I'm muted. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm gonna like reset stream here shortly.
Oh, one of my friends is 4-0. He literally said he was playing, and I said I might be commentating this. Huh.
Yes.
With Maridon Eels, so.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Have not seen that yet.
Quickly reset here.